Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil and Sean, they're locked, they're loaded, they're ready for these Nvidia earnings. So make sure to get into the chat every day with Adair and I on the How to Trade show, and get into the chat and vote for your tickers as decided by you, because the top 5 make it on every day. That screen isn't working, guys, so I can't see myself. So Adair is on that screen. So fix that if possible. Anyway, starting off here with the future, you can see the triple Qs at lows right now, about 2% on the NQ September contract, about 1% on the ES. A lot of flushing here ahead of the big earnings report for the $3 trillion name. This could actually be a plus or minus $300 billion earnings report. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, exactly how they do. There was, inklings during the midday show that JPM on Twitter released an earnings whisper. I'll take that with some caution, but Nvidia, guys, rejecting off that level on the way down.
The $9 billion's already gone today, so
$9 billion, that's nothing.
That's just what's $9 billion among friends?
Like where this thing was on Monday.
It's so wild because, I heard a lot of people the market's, Nvidia is falling, the market's falling. Nvidia is actually $1.50 from, $1.50 off of its lows. I know it's falling. Don't get me wrong. The NASDAQ's down. I just Apple broke the low. Amazon broke the lows just now, its lows. Pretty sure I saw Google break its lows. I didn't check Microsoft. A lot of things are flushing. Nvidia down at 3%. It just lost VWAP as we speak. I really only traded Nvidia once today. I was trading mostly AMD, and I'm now into Intel because it was at VWAP when the market started to curl. So stock at VWAP started to curl, look short. But this was when it broke 126. That's the only trade I had. Did have an accidental long in there because, sometimes you get out with the trail and you probably should not be going long. That's not a good look, but I just got out of it immediately instead of trying to make something happen. So Nvidia, just the one breakdown. It looks like VWAP could be a thing this afternoon, but worth mentioning. Nvidia has not lost the consolidation that it has the last 2 weeks. So this was $90-something on that crazy Monday. And this local bottom in here, it's about 120. This is 123. I kind of have it charted to this close here on the 15th, and that's about 122.5. You have not broken that support yet. So all of this doom and gloom, and you're still in the top end consolidation for the last couple of weeks here on Nvidia, and it's even making higher lows. So there's things out there that are obviously falling. I'm not saying Nvidia isn't one of them, but for now, it's managing to hold off of those lows.
Oh man. Look, we're gonna talk. The market's gonna be coming up next. Make sure. Okay, not talking to me. Look at this short on the market. We were short a bunch of times. It's gonna be a big trade for us. But wow, talk about breaking lower. Look, we actually. This is part of sitting here, man. Look at these huge sell volumes. We took 123 long and got out. So we're long here, 123.50, 123.30. We are up after this dump. We were able to get out once it broke 126. That was the level that we wanted to look at, was 126 today, right? So anyways, it breaks it, it falls down, and we don't do anything until we see some kind of a consolidated bottom there. We went into 123. That was a little bit early for sure, but at the end of the day, 123 goes all the way back here. We can maybe zoom this back out a little bit. That's what I was saying. We're just back to these levels. Just comes back into here. So I wanted to go against that. We were able to just buy this dip, and we got stopped out. Then we bought it. We had some good fills. Our long was 122.70, and then this out is 125.30. So Nvidia right back into the pocket with a beautiful long out here at VWAP, out on the 50-period break. Best out was 126 again. So it looks like sticky note will be right, but on the flip side right now is 126, a very key level. Let's see what winds up pushing that envelope here. Nvidia 126 looks like a short. Hey man, it's going to be a juicy report. We already know that, but I wouldn't say the sky's falling. It's just it is coming up back into where we were Monday or Friday, right there at that bottom. So this is a problem. And if you're going to get an implied move of 10%, let's just say 11%, we said back and forth, that gets you to 110. So yeah, I am expecting some violence here at some point, and it looks like it's just happening a little bit early on the downside. Let's settle down a bit, wait for it to come back to 126 and trade it off that.
We're at lows on the SPY, down about 1.2, 1.1 Really depends on when you're looking. There's a lot of blood today on the indexes. Nothing is excluded. The Rust, the Dow, the NASDAQ, they're all red on the day. But some good stuff here. Berkshire Hathaway hitting $1 trillion. I guess the market rewarded them for offloading about $1 billion worth of Bank of America stock. So Berkshire in focus. Obviously, Super Microcomputer delaying the filing of their June quarter results. And that had the market not too plussed, about 25% down at its lows. We'll keep eyes on that. And obviously, guys, the chip maker Nvidia, I know you guys just talked about it, but hey, it's Nvidia.
I mean, it's obviously a big portion of the overall market, but I mean, everything is falling right now, so the SPY is going to take it on the chin. I haven't done this for myself today, just to sort. This is my quote board. It's not like the entire market or anything, but that's a lot of red, that's a lot of red, that's a lot of red. What is actually green on my quote board? So the diamonds are barely TLT, UVXY, back and forth. Really? So the only things on my quote board that are green is UVXY, and I need to update my natural gas contract apparently because I have the expired one. So that's essentially nothing because obviously UVXY is inverse. I'm not charting absolutely everything on here. Like I don't have Chewy on there because it's not a daily thing. You are making a bit of a bottom at 555 on the future, and this is because, maybe it's because this was breakout level 19th, consolidation bottom, at least back here on the 22nd, so that was last Thursday, and you're trying to catch a bit of a bid. I'm still inclined to be thinking short week names on pops, and that'll be the way to go. But if you're looking at some of these bigger cap tech names, there was a big sell on a few things at the close yesterday. Google had it was Google. I mean, Amazon had a bit of a drop there. Pretty much all of the big cap tech. And Google took it on the chin again. It just made another bit of a dump. So you have some really weak names. This one consolidating under support from earlier in the week. So remember the S&P on the 22nd had that same bottom, a stock like Alphabet. Like I'm interested in what are the things that are underneath that level and weaker than the market. Like that same bottom has been resistance here for Alphabet. So when talking about the market, I use that cue to lead me into, hey, if you're going to have some dumping in that final hour potentially, why not look at the names that sold off yesterday in that afternoon trade? And if it's under VWAP, I like it. So I have Google on my mind here if we do get a pop back into VWAP.
All right, we got, just as a new trade right here, JP Morgan. JP Morgan today hits 52-week highs over at 220. So that was a great trade, to short 222. Anyways, its past 52-week high was 220, taking that out. And now it just pulled right back into these lows. I'm going to try it just a little lower than 50s here. I'm not going to hold it all the way to these quarters. That's not a volume thing. Let's just wait to see what winds up happening here. 219.50. So right now we're long at 63s on JP Morgan. Let's see if that name wants to work here. I'm hoping it does. Nice so far. We'll see if JP Morgan wants to hold. Look, we wrote down earlier and people were asking me about it in the chat, and I was just like, man, oh man. First of all, I don't know who's sending me this here. All right. So we talked about, that's the market. We talked about the market today heading to the downside, right? There's a TQQ short. There's a whole bunch of talk on here about that. It was talked all about on the show. So we just follow our plan today. There's the short early. There's the short again. There's the short on the posted 67 break. So I was like, oh, wow, if we get to 67, that'd be real nice. There it is, 67 short sell to break. So, I mean, right there, if you're only going to make one trade today, take that one. Here's the 67 break. You know how many times it went against you? How about 0? Right there. And the reload, unfortunately, I was waiting for VWAP, and I was sitting here, and I should have just been a little more clued into what was happening. But right there, back into 67 again, and then bang, down $1.50. So you're talking about hundreds of handles here from top to bottom, and we were short biased this whole day. So far, so good. Watching out for that one. Oh, yeah, and by the way, oops, Brittany. You just did it again, Sharif, man. There's JP Morgan right now with 20 cents. So, I mean, we just put this on. Let's see if it wants to climb a little bit more as it goes back and forth right now. JP Morgan. What's up, Jamie? Let's go back over to the screen. Sharif.
Great trade from the boys today. All right, here's SMCI, and you can see that down and to the right it goes. And that was the reason why Supermicro shares are trading lower after the company announced it will delay its 10K filing. And that had the analyst on a very defensive mode coming out there. Barclays reiterating their overweight on rating on Supermicro and maintaining that 693 price target. Then you had JP Morgan analysts coming out in full force and saying there's very limited evidence of accounting wrongdoing by SMCI. Maybe that's the reason for the little bump up there, guys.
I mean, if there's no wrongdoing, you'd think it could bounce like it did yesterday. But the problem is it's double barrel action. If you were just talking about the short seller report and not the delaying of their filing, I think it wouldn't be so bad. Just very quickly, I did just trail out of AMD. So I was short AMD off of VWAP, had it a couple times going. I did have a long in it at one point when it held 145. And then went into a short a couple times off VWAP. Just got out at the 146 on a trail. Going to hang on to the other two names here. But SMCI, when the lesson of the day, I kind of went over this and was saying I didn't like the fact that I was using a 3-minute chart, the way the stock was moving off the open. I was unable to get any of the breakdown trades. The second that story hit that they were delaying their 10K was essentially just looking for a short. So there were no real pops after the open. It was just dropping. And every single break, it was short sell restricted, in continuation from yesterday, and then it kind of did it on its own again here today, so it will be tomorrow. But getting some of those breaks was not that easy. I guess you can always use a market order, and then you get whatever price when a level breaks. I don't use them. Obviously would have worked today because it just kept falling like a rock. The first short I took in when it was going parabolic, in my mind, was worth it. Give it $4 or $5 because you're dropping 5, 10, 15, 20 at a time. But when it caught the bounce, in my humble defense, when it caught the bounce off of 400, I tried it twice off the 400 level, was able to get it the second time, put a trail in, and I was pretty bearish on this stock most of the day. It got right up to like 405, 406. I'm like, oh goodness, they're starting to sell it again. I threw the trail in only to see it eventually get to VWAP. So I wasn't really believing in VWAP, and I said that in my lesson of the day. Probably should have, was able to get half back going into that long. So went 1 for 3 on SMCI. Thankfully, the last one was a pretty good one, but it should have gotten it all back if I actually believed in the long more than I did. It's going to be very interesting when they do actually report because, I mean, they better have some really nice things to say and assuage some of those fears because it was really bad timing for this. Worst possible time. People are jittery over Nvidia earnings. You just had a short seller report. The market's at highs. Not the best time to have made that delay. That's why there was no bid this morning.
Yeah, we just tried it right now for the very first time off of 420 off VWAP, so 425, 426. So we just tried it right now. We actually just ticked up to VWAP, 428 and change. So this could be worth something of a try. I actually must have put down the wrong VWAP there. Let's just try it one more time. I mean, if we break there, we put an offer, and of course someone just runs it right down lower. We'll just wait to. Oh no, that's too bad. Okay. Well, we tried to get the short, and as soon as we did, someone else jumped right on top of it. Okay, well, that was the idea. Right there was shorting against VWAP. We miss out for that one. Watch out for 430. Here we go. Hopefully we get it on the way back up. And we'll watch out for that 430. If that can break a little bit higher, then I'm just going to put an offer at 428. Thing is, I want to make sure that I'm sitting here against this. We're just at VWAP. So again, this could move unbelievably quickly, as many of you who are trading this would know. So that's why if this takes out 430, we are going to stop ourselves out. So just put that order in there right now. All right, so we're in it. It is SMCI, and we are now short this name, 427.50. Let's see if it does have a pullback into the 50 period. It's really supported it, man. So I don't know. This is just a VWAP retracement back to the upside. If this was like an earnings play, I would say I'd like this right here. We just did take a couple shots at it. I got stopped. I was just looking, because I have on my e-signal, VWAP was a little bit lower, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use 430 now as one of those levels. So we'll see. Oh, and by the way, JP Morgan, we did get those 80s. Went to 82 and I think 85. It is falling back in a little bit, but there's some outs for JP Morgan for that trade. All right, SMCI now 50, 70, $1 in the money. I guess now starting to go a little bit lower. We are short now. Okay, I mean, if this breaks this, who knows where we're going to go, but it's SMCI right now, hopefully fading out a little bit. Too bad we didn't get more shares, that we were sitting there for it, but hey, this is still early days on this trade. SMCI, $1.30 or so in the money.
Amazon next, Sean, and it's underperforming the market about 2.1% in the red. The NQ about 1 3/4 right now. All really good headlines. None of them market moving. They're in talks, Amazon that is, to sell MGM Alternative, which is the production group behind The Voice and the Vanderpump Rules. I think someone might be watching that on this desk. Amazon also looking to roll out their quick commerce service in India by 2025, as well as doubling down on their position on the NFL. They're giving the Kelsey brothers about $100 million for their podcast, guys.
Oh. Actually came here, but our price is a little too high.
Yeah, we wanted that NFL QB money. The second best quarterback in the NFL, Jordan Love money. This is what we want. I forget the guy that said that, but he's on crack. Amazon. Okay, so it's going to be a broken record with most of the big cap tech names. It just very recently lost $170 for support. So come to the daily chart. It also just lost the 200 period moving average, which was at $172. It's hard to be bullish when that's the case. I kind of threw a line that very loosely was around 170. They probably should have been at the 170 level, so I'm just going to get rid of it because it's already through. If we were to pop back up, I already said I like Google at VWAP, but Amazon, if it bounces and can't reclaim 170 here, I would think this would be a short. My gut's telling me if we trend down and there's some pops, the way that we've been seeing some of these sells going into the last, especially like 20 minutes of the day, like after the imbalances, or even the last 10 minutes when they can't do the buybacks, there's been some really good short opportunities. And being in one or two, if you can set it up, of the big cap tech names, I think can make sense if you can find one. But they're all weak. I'm just eyeballs on Amazon and Google because I was short Amazon yesterday in the afternoon, got out too early, and then Google's the one that seems like it's very, very weak here. So I'm eyeballing 170 and then VWAP if we in fact get up to that price. I mean, the consumer seems okay. It was a very mixed bag when it came to retail earnings today. Like it was either like really, really big winners, like the names like Chewy and Kohl's, when they really ran. But if you're on the other side of it, like Abercrombie and Foot Locker, like those two got absolute. I mean, A&F got destroyed. Like I was looking back, and when the news came on SMCI, I know the stock that I abandoned trying to short. It was A&F. Like you could never regret looking at SMCI for an opportunity to day trade today. That's the wrong approach because it was an awesome opportunity. But A&F was right away dump at the open, pull back into VWAP, and then dump another $6, and then just continue to trend over and over and over again. So the retail name's very, very mixed bag. Like it was such a stock pickers on earnings for retail today. You're either up 10, 20% or down 10, 20%.
Yeah, I mean, my trade on the retail side of it was KSS, and I mean, what a doozy this one was as well. I mean, that break is what we wrote down on the sticky note. That was huge. We actually got the high of the day somehow. We just sit there and take the fills. A lot of the time, we don't go over and punch them out. I told you that we were at 15s or whatever this was, and that's what we wound up getting. So that was a good one. And then it fell back in. We actually let it fall in. We weren't here when this happened, so I don't know. We probably could have defended that area again. So we would have had a stop out there if we had done that. But again, that's just because it was on the VWAP retracement there. So back in there, take it off. I mean, we come back and we notice it's down here. And I was just like, let me give this 20 cents of room. So we did that. It went right back to the top. Then it stopped out that last piece right there. So KSS today, I mean, a great name. Like the stock. Yeah, moving quite well. Just into the tech space, Palantir. Again, we did it on this one. We shorted Palantir up here. And this was live on air. Sharif was there. We talked about this. He asked me, he went over and asked me, what are you doing? And I said, I'm shorting Palantir. So there's Palantir right there. We just took it from 30s down to 30s. So 30 cents right there, 1% there on PLTR. We do have the most shares that I'm going to have right now for SMCI. If SMCI breaks breaks above 430, we're out of this one, 428. So let's see if we could take $2 on like a third, and then we'll see if we can get that back through 430. Then maybe that's where we're going to get out. But if it dumps back in, that 421-ish, 422 is the 50 period that we've had a hard time dealing with. So we'll see if we can drip back a little bit here on SMCI.
Bit of an aggressive red day today, guys, for AMD. There is this article circulating online. Be careful with this. AMD trader circulating tech radar article that the AMD reportedly got hacked again and criminals are offering the data online. I'm not sure if it's on the dark web or what the situation is, but they're down over 3%. There's this headline as well, obviously, which is that semiconductors are selling off ahead of the Nvidia earnings and the SMCI debacle.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's not
into AMD chips, or what is that?
I mean, that's obviously not good. It was already weak. I don't think it's doing anything that's out of the pocket for what the rest of the market looks like. Its chart doesn't look dramatically different from Nvidia's on the 3-minute chart or like the intraday chart. The daily chart looks dramatically different from Nvidia's. And I've been bearish on AMD ever since once this turned around off of 215. Especially this lower high, it's been trending down and it has not been strong. It's under the 50, it's under the 200, and when it lost that 50, we've been looking short pretty much every single day. I keystroked it at the open. I got short back through 150 and put my stop out of instinct instead of at the local high, which I do 10 times out of 10. Today was like 9 times out of 10 because I put it at 150 exactly. So got in, got out. It worked to the downside. I got it short a couple more times, 49s. And then 48 halves, and was just out of one at 47 too. If we get back to VWAP, I want to short VWAP. But it bounced right off of support at 145. So I needed to pop to get some kind of a short opportunity there. And as a matter of fact, the thing... I'm just chuckling because Sharif is mad because someone put Man U on his background, and I'm happy about that. I'm not a Man U fan, but we're all about having a little bit of fun and some trolling in there. What I'm noticing is I was about to say, oh man, I like this VWAP here on SMCI, but I'm going to double check to see why I have VWAP differently. I have it at VWAP, you have it at VWAP, and then my 3-minute doesn't have it here at VWAP. So I think I'm missing some data in there, but this 430 level is getting very heavy. If it does a false break, I'd almost be thinking short. AMD for sure, and I am in Intel VWAP into the lows of the day, at least trying to get into the lows of the day. It's down 2%. Not as bad as the market, but worse than everything else in chipland.
So we got out of a third of our position of SMCI at 427 flat. There was a big buyer there of 150,000 shares. So I was like, I'm waiting at 426.50. For 50 cents on this name, I mean, if it collapses, we still have it. Our target down here is 421, 422. So pretty comfortable trying to hold on to SMCI if we do get back into those levels. So let's just wait to see. We're already short this name against 430. So there it goes again. Let's see if it goes. It broke temporarily, this 427, and then it came back. The cat came back, and it seems like the very next day. Maybe not even the very next day, the very next minute, and there it is again, holding 427. So I don't look here. I'm looking here where there's 100 share lots. I mean, you can just put it. These will all be 100 share lots as well, but for some reason, this is the national best bidder offer. So you're going to get the NASDAQ because this is a NASDAQ name. So this is where the NASDAQ's displaying 100 share orders. All right, so we're going to wait to see now where we go to the downside. Hopefully a 427 break. I mean, this keeps on changing, so we're going to have to watch out for this. What is this, 424? Maybe 424 off of this would be aight if we can get that. So why don't we put a 424? I mean, the thing is that I have to have something in there because you could just get a flush like we're doing right now. And if you're not sitting on the bid, then you're not there. Then you don't get that, right? Like someone just got 426.05s, which is nice, but the spread, oh my, the spread is trying to open up a little bit here for SMCI. So let's see what happens. We're not nervous about this, and we are always nervous when we see profit. And it's like, maybe we should take some out. Like right now, I'm like, did it just bounce off 425? So yeah, we'll see what happens here. It's coming back in for SMCI. Maybe I'll put a 425.
So very quickly, K-Deb just said in the chat, Neil, you said earlier today that if SMCI could stay above 425, it could be a rebound. Thoughts? There's a very big difference between the opening rush and the panic bottoms than what I feel about consolidative levels later on in the day. So it's in the moment, in the morning, 425. I mean, obviously it's a nice round number. You go all the way back to the daily. It actually lines up with the previous, a big close when it broke out. So there's, outside of it just being a round number, something decent about it. But when it's falling like a rock, if it holds a level like this first time through in the morning, like you can get candles, like a single candle on a bounce play here, like that was $11. And if that consolidates and makes another break up, and then you get above, you get to VWAP, that's the kind of bounce off of 425 that I thought could have been really good. But when you trail underneath that, and now you're doing higher lows, I think it's a little bit different. The market's at the low of the day. I just feel like usually when you get a good SSR bounce, like a panic bottom, when it happens in the morning and gets and holds VWAP in the morning, it tends to be stronger. When it hangs underneath VWAP all day long, that's telling you something. That's what VWAP is. So I'm never married to a price, like a dip buy price from 9:30 or in the pre-market that you're looking at and a stock that's moving a lot is not the same to me as in the afternoon. And a good example of that is Starbucks. Because there was a point in the morning show where you would have seen me say, what? I'm long Starbucks? Because when I was sitting down and going over some ideas, I like that 96 on Starbucks. It's like, if it gets down there, I want to have a taste to see what happens. But this happened. It already made an attempt to bounce at a key price level and then was just stair-stepping it into it. And I wasn't paying enough attention to it and then got the film. Was like, okay, wait a minute. Do I have a stop at 96? I did. So it stopped me out. I didn't add to it. But there's a big difference between catching the knife, it makes the bounce where you want it, or no, it's continuing down. This is now at like 10:45 and you're well past that opening range and I'm just trying to catch a falling knife. Good thing we got out of this. Look what happened after. And I have no idea why Starbucks is so weak today. This was the was this the strongest stock in the market? No, there was what was big yesterday? Upstart was really strong. No, but Starbucks was like one of the strongest names yesterday, bar none. And I'm a little bit surprised that it lost a bid. Like if you're rotating out of tech, I mean, isn't like a strong retail name possibly somewhere that it could have caught a bid today? Anyways, it doesn't matter what you think. I was baffled by it. I stopped trying to trade it after that one entry and exit point. So don't get married to price levels just because you like them in the morning. If the stock is showing you something vastly different by the time it gets there, you should be willing to get away from it. If it's behaving as you expect, then go ahead and make the trade. But if it's not, man, you just can't get married to those. I haven't mentioned Rivian. Let me just go over Rivian very quickly. So Rivian, like a lot of things today, lost the 200-period moving average. It lost the 50-period a couple of days ago. So that's a couple of major moving averages. I only noticed this. I was scanning through stocks at lunchtime. I was like, oh, wow, that's not very good. So that's bad, A. It went right through a previous low, made a lower high. So now you're trending to the downside. So if a stock is relatively weak and trending to the downside, I want to short it ideally at VWAP. Can't get to VWAP. It looked like it might get to it here. When it made the same bottom, or top, I should say, I got short right in 13. I got 82s and 84s. 84s first and 82s. The low of the day is 1365, and Rivian is looking like it's not very healthy. The good news for Rivian is you still have a buyer at 13. Whomever happens to be buying at 13 is holding the line for all the shareholders of Rivian. Except for Rivian Millionaire, who apparently doesn't even own the stock.
Okay, yeah, because he's already a millionaire. You got to cash out. That's the thing, right?
Well, see, that's the thing. He probably got out in 2020's rush and left everyone else holding the bags.
Exactly. Probably pre-IPO and stuff like that. Yeah, probably. All right. So cheers to that one as well. Okay. I mean, SMCI. So we lost. So remember, we took some out there for a third for only $1, and then it ripped through 430, losing $1.70. We actually punched into the long once it broke through 430. We have $2 back. Well, almost. It depends where it already filled 432s or came close to doing that. 431.80. So right now we're long here. We have $1.80 of that back. So we'll be fine on this one. I just want to see about now the momentum through this. I'm actually looking at 440 or so right now for SMCI. So we are, okay, here we go. We are in this long now on SMCI. We just flipped it up, right? I mean, that was, why did I like 440? Let me zoom this back out a little bit here. What's all this? That's 450. What's this top? 440. Okay, so that's probably where it was. Right into here. So there's a little bit of a cluster. I may get 436. Might be pretty good area there. $6 to see if it wants to go up. I mean, here it goes right now. Now we're $3 in the money right now on this trade. So far, so good here as we continue to make a little bit of a move higher. So we did pretty good. We are trying to get, let's go 435. We've been trying to pick this like a little bit too carefully, potentially here. So let's just do the good stuff here. Get our bids in at the right spot in our offers. We have 250 in the money. If you want to take it, guys, take it. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing about what we do here. We talk about trades, and why I'm in this right now, in the money now, 2 and change on SMCI as it's trying to battle back. I'm going to put an offer at 435. Hopefully, we'll be able to get that, make a little bit of money back, and yeah, then hold the rest for that 440. And if we get 440, then great. So that's something that we'll look for right now. We'll put that 435 out and wait to see what happens. We did cover most of our Palantir. So just for Palantir, we have about that 10% left. Trying to wait for VWAP, may reload that into that high. A lot of it's going to depend on what these futures want to do here, of course, if we don't ever want to trade against them. So
trying to bounce.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to bounce right now, but they're still under the 50-period moving average.
So there was a good point. When I was sitting there saying, I was surprised that Starbucks didn't have a better bid today. I mean, there was a lot of China weakness. That was rightfully pointed out in the chat. And I was just surprised it didn't have a bid somewhere. I get it. The Chinese names were going down. It's not like, I mean, Nike had a rough day today. I mean, if anyone looked at Pinduoduo, thank goodness for Pinduoduo that SMCI happened today. So no one had to look at that chart. But that was nasty. I just want to go back over to Rivian because it made a double bottom in here. So the same low from before, 1365, it's starting to consolidate. So I'm going to take another leg out. Now just holding on to the last 10% of the trade. Seems like it wants to bounce off this level with the market. And if that's the case, I want to make sure we're getting some profit out. I'm going to go back. What's Alphabet doing? Nothing. Amazon. That's not a lot of movement on Amazon last I checked. Nvidia is trying to get to VWAP. AMD. It's not, AMD is still at exactly the same levels. There's not a lot that's going crazy in here. Let us know what you guys are trading. And the incredible Mr. Lib says Alibaba is bouncing.
Ooh.
To $100 yet? No.
No.
Well,
no, says
it was bouncing probably when you wanted to bring it up to us, and then it just did this. So it couldn't even get to VWAP, and it's starting to pull back. Looking for something that, if the market pops a little bit more, to short into VWAP or get a retracement. It just took some Rivian out. I want something that I can short, and I wouldn't mind looking for something long. If there's something relatively strong, I would try to jump over to that. I know Chewy was really good earlier. I hesitate. It's still having trouble at that $30 level. So it broke 30, got to 30 and a half, and now lower highs at 30. I don't wonder if this couldn't be on the other end of things on Chewy. Because that's a resistance on the daily. I don't know if I like the long at 30 on Chewy. I'd wait for VWAP on that.
I changed my mind on SMCI. I'm going to try to get out at 434. It just not all of it. Just that piece that I was waiting for at 435. I'm going to go to 430. Yes, sir. There it comes in. Nice trade there, back into the upside there. $4 winner on SMCI. Now let's see where we can go. Again, that's the trade. There. I mean, there's 435, so could have waited for it, did not. But hey, a winner, as we say on this show, should be a winner, and that's what it is right there for SMCI. Nice trade back to the upside there. So, hey, man, we got that. So, wow, $4 back in on SMCI. And someone said, I think it was Saad, said there in the chat, he's like, oh, typical Sean. It loses VWAP, reclaims it, the guy takes it again. And yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you recognize that, to be honest with you. I mean, that's the kind of style that I'm trying to do. So I'm glad that it worked out like that. I'm glad it was very, very recognizable. That's what we were doing. So, all right. So far, so good here as we go. I mean, we wish we would have held now. As there it goes, Neil. It's a $6 winner right now for SMCI. So what Daryl was talking about that on the midday show, she's like, what happened to those $10 winner buttons? Hey, man, maybe we got another one coming through right now. It's 6 right here for SMCI and trying to get back up to the upside. There's the quick fail. Let's give this a little bit of a shot in the arm here. See if it wants to keep going to the upside. It's SMCI and it's fabulous.
Remember, it's SSR. So when it gets going, you can't hit that bid to get to enter a short position. So when it starts to rally, it can't. I'm not saying it can't stop, but it's got time on its side for sure. Because when the big boys try to take it to the southbound, and remember, this is the only thing going. Like, look at Nvidia. Like, Nvidia is not moving at all. Like, this is it's weird. I know everyone's focused on it. We keep getting questions. What do you think about Nvidia? This is what I think about Nvidia. Since Sean was just in that SMCI trade, Nvidia has moved 20 cents.
Yeah.
20 pennies on a stock top to bottom that went $7 today. It's gone 20 cents in the time of that SMCI going through VWAP. So clearly, at least for now, Nvidia ain't the one. It will be at 420. I promise you that. If Nvidia isn't the most exciting thing at 420, then I'll eat a slice of pineapple pizza tomorrow. No questions asked about it. Of course, when they drop the earnings, it's going to be the most exciting thing.
Here we go.
And we'll be live, of course. We had a Chris Bretcher already today. He was short a lot of things, so he had a good day. And we'll talk a little bit with him, but still want to see what else is moving. Broadcom's not moving. I know that to be sure. See what else is going on here. Guys, let us know what you're looking at in the chat. Everything else is chilling out. Sideways action.
All right, let's props it up, guys. I mean, we've already... Thanks for Neil for that one, recognizing this trade, because there it goes, man. We're now, Neil, $7 in the money. Looking at this 440 trade. Wow, 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 wow. Take that reversal right back there to the upside. And I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. I mean, thank you, NYSE Urbanista. You know, everybody here that's commenting about these trades that you've seen today. This is what we're doing, man. Get to watch some of the best here, says Honest Abe. Thank you so much for all of that. Let's go, says Honest Abe. GOAT. Everything, man. Keep it up, says Elon. Thank you again for everything for this. Let's just wait to see what happens. Tesla down to 203. Good. Thanks, Mike. We'll have definitely a look at that one right now. There's a little bit of a pushback. You see the fail right there? You remember, you got to watch out for the markets as well. There's the fail at the 50-period moving average. So 435. I might just get out on a 434 breakdown again and just say that's enough with this one. I'm not going to hold this all the way back. We've already taken our money on this name. Let's get out. If it breaks back down through 434, we can get that out. 433.99 or so for a break. Let's just put that stop in. So no matter what, we wind up taking $4. It was just $7. We'll try to give a little bit of risk back into this name, but I think it's well worth it at this point. Risk now $1 to try to make $5. That's kind of the ratios that we're looking for, especially in an.
Be careful with that. I did the same thing and was the worst trail I'd ever.
Yeah. But I mean, it's all good. I mean, at the end of the day, it's $7 in the money. Like, if I really wanted it, we could take it. I'm still playing off levels. I know what you were doing.
It was the same.
This is a winning trail.
It was the exact same thing. I had a similar move. It was a 400 break. It got to 6. This is $7, and I'd taken some out at 4 or 5. And I'm like, okay, we're going to trail it here. And then the one red candle got me out only before it continued. I just feel like when it's SSR, it's different when it's SSR, because it's the first down move. It's like when it goes up. Well, someone's coming down. The first up move was like, this is just a continuation. And it's the same thing in the other direction. You have to really zoom in for this. Like, the first red candle was actually strength consolidating as opposed to an opportunity to trail out when you had the SSR bounce. Like, that's the first time it looked like one. Then it put in the higher low for the consolidation break. So I haven't explained this before. Actually, I have, but I didn't say it today. When you're looking for SSR bounce in the morning, I'm like, bounce off the level one shot, and I would take it. But later in the day, I want to see bottom, ideally break back out, or bottom, higher low, consolidation, break. So bottom, higher low, consolidation, break. I didn't get the break. Thankfully, I was able to get picked back up on this one when it broke that 401. But see what I mean? Like, that first red candle ends up, that's what got me. The first red candle was not a trail spot. That was a spot that longs actually gained some strength to the upside. What else? TLT is flat. VET to the moon. I don't even know what that is, but I'll have a look. Confucius. Confucius? What is that? It's Confucius. It's a weird name.
We just went back up to 437. We just had a net. I mean, we're still $7. We were just $7 in the money again, and it did not break. I mean, it came close. Actually, it did go to 438. All right, so it did go to 438. We almost got out. All right, so just $1 more basically, and we will see if we can grab this out here for this trade. I mean, this, again, for me, fantastic. I can't personally do much better. This is $7 winner. We've already had monster winners today on Nvidia. We talked about that 250 off that bottom. I mean, we have the bottom tick for Nvidia today. These are bottom ticks right here on Nvidia. So look, there's our stop out. There's buying it back. So right here, 122.70, boom, boom, boom. Just keeps on going back up to the upside. There you go, there you go, there you go. So that's 122.60. That's 125.40. So almost $3 right there. Could have been a little bit more. So yeah, man, we're well in our comfort zone here. $7+ right now. Well, it's got to break it, and then we'll get going. But a decent little look here for us on SMCI. I hope everybody's got it. Adara?
Part of the show is brought to you by Stonks.com. Want a chance to win $10,000 today? Stonks.com is giving out money daily, and entering is super easy. Predict the stock price after the earnings report. Today, we're looking at Nvidia, NVDA. All it takes is 30 seconds to join. Just go to stonks.com, sign up, and hit the make prediction button and potentially win $10,000. It's that simple. Each day, you get one free ticket to predict. Want more chances? Share your referral link and get 5 extra tickets for each sign up. Go to stonks.com. Don't miss out, and good luck.
Yeah, obviously everyone's going to be excited about that free. Scan that QR code. I put my pick in already, so we'll see if we get any attendees. Was able to win on. I haven't won since Meta on that bad boy. What would be interesting is I guarantee you, if it wasn't Nvidia earnings today, then their promotion would be where does SMCI close. Although I guess they do aftermarket, but it doesn't matter. Like if it were not for Nvidia today, SMCI would be the biggest story. No questions asked. The way that it's moving around, you're just not going to see action like this on a normal day.
Neil, thoughts on this $10 winner?
Solid.
Solid. I like it. All right, there it is, guys. There is your $10 winner of the. Yeah, that was pretty solid of you. There it is, right there, man. $10 on SMCI. So hopefully, you guys again. You guys can see what we're doing here. It was a good one. SMCI, nice little win right there. Wow. Okay. We're happy with that one. We'll just keep on moving on then. Okay. Thought we would be a little more excited. I would be, but we're okay with it. Nice move to the upside now on SMCI. So, all right. Yeah, we basically might have got out at the top. I'm not sure. There it was. It's a good trade. We can tweet it out if you guys want to follow me at TraderTV Sean. This is what we're doing, man. We're always talking about this. Real traders will stay late, and today they'll stay late with Neil on the market recap show, which should be a doozy of a show for sure. There it is. This is my account. Thank you so much to everybody for keeping it going. Oh, there we go. We got 47,500 exactly. Thank you so much for all of that love as we represent, hopefully pretty proudly, everybody here in the lovely Canada, lovely country of Canada. And yeah, good trade there. We're really pleased with that one there. $10 on SMCI, and you know, this is the thing. You never know where you're going to find these winning trades, and you know, today SMCI comes out of nowhere, and then there it goes, right back into the profit side of things. Obviously, still down 20%. Let's wait to see. We take shots at VWAP, we lose, and then this happens. So. There it goes. Yeah, John M. Oh, Nunya Biz. I forgot to show you out hopefully we didn't. You are also a Diamond member. So is John M. Right now, members for 24 months.
Dump it.
So thank you so much for you guys and all of the love. But that is, I mean, for that SMCI trade, guys, I just hope that a lot of you might have had that, either an options trade or something, breaking through 430 right there on SMCI for $9.
Ugh. Yeah, John M. is wondering about Affirm earnings today. So I don't like Affirm anymore. Unfortunately, I wanted to say good things about it. However, the good news for Affirm is rates are coming down. The other good news, it's a 9% short float. But the problem is lower highs all the way through. There's your lower highs. There's your after it kind of held this trend and looked like it was going higher. It just kind of confirmed another trend to the downside underneath the 200 period moving average. I think if it breaks here, like it's 34.30, like if it can break that lower high on earnings, it has a really good chance. But all it did is break one downward trend that was steep to make a slightly less steep downward trend after the fact. So it doesn't necessarily look all that great, and it's reversing right underneath where you'd want that sucker to bounce. Usually if you're trading to the long side, I feel like Upstart's been a lot better in terms of giving you the squeezes as opposed to Affirm. I mean, the 50 period looks pretty solid in there. As far as how the report's going to go for them, when there's a little bit of weakness in the consumer, that tends to not bode well for them. I think for obvious reasons, you can cut that both ways. More people would use them, but then more people are delinquent. So it's either or. But then you look at the caution that you're seeing from a lot of the retailers, if that spend is going down, I don't necessarily love it. The other thing which you got to throw into it is what's going on with the student loan forgiveness, because the more of that you have, I think the better for these guys, for Affirm. So I'd keep your eye on that. It's kind of one of those undercover election style plays where if obviously you're going to have people get money in their pockets, that's going to bode well for spending. That's going to bode well for paying back any debts that they might have, which could end up being pretty good for Affirm. It is 245, And once a week, we do have a certain friend on from Benzinga. I believe Ryan is ready. Ryan Faluna ready to join us on a ho-hum nothing burger kind of day in the markets. Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
Yeah, there's nothing going on. I mean, it's not like there's a big earnings report that might determine the market and what the Fed does. I mean,
no, nothing. What's that name again? Yeah, Nvidia report. I mean, what do you have today? You have Nvidia after the bell. Everyone's forgetting the fact that we have CrowdStrike after they had the breach. You've got CRM, which is always a really good bell. CRM's a great bellwether for tech names and for just the markets in general, just given all their clientele, right? So you want to see how their earnings go. And then you had, whether you liked longs or shorts, you had your pick of the litter when it came to retail names today. You could either have dump its with A&F, dump it with Full Locker, run it with Chewy, run it with Kohl. So there was a little bit of something for everybody here, Ryan. What was your flavor of the day?
so my flavor of the day was Chewy, and I've got a setup here that I want to share with the group that worked out perfectly. But I have a question for both of you on how you actually handle this. I actually wouldn't mind hearing from your chat as well. You talked about Chewy earnings this morning. Remember the last print that we had from Chewy really kind of changed the way it traded. I actually made a great trade off of that, just having calls for that earnings report. This one, however, still a pretty decent report, kind of a muted reaction in the morning here. I know we kind of dipped and came back, but we actually carved out this little sideways channel. And I love this setup on earnings stocks, either the night before or that morning. You can basically carve out a range where the stock hung out during the pre-market session and then use that range as your entry trigger. So what I was looking for here on Chewy was a breakout or a breakdown from these blue lines and then a retest of that area. That's exactly what we got here. And while I was watching this, I watched it come back in. I watched this breakdown through the area that I had marked off. It happens to be 27.28 here. And as I watched it come to VWAP, I said, VWAP at that point was right around 27. I actually think it was slightly above 27. I threw an order out there exactly at 27. And the stock came down, printed 27s, and didn't fill my order. Then we see this humongous bounce. We actually got another entry trigger when it tested VWAP and went even higher, and now it's kind of traded sideways around this 30 area. So I was sitting on the bid trying to get this trade filled here this morning. It did not fill me, and then it ran away. So I actually missed this. Now, I missed this because I put my order out there. My process was correct. My plan was correct. My preparation was correct. So there's nothing for me to get mad about. But the question that I have for you gentlemen, when you have an order that is at a specific level, whether it's a number point, moving average, whatever it is, and you don't quite get filled there, and then it starts to move away, what happens to you? Because I had FOMO. I was like, I think this is going to keep going up. That's my bias here, but I really don't want to chase, and I opted not to chase. Now, the reality is that had I have chased this, I'd be in profit anyway, right? Because the stock just kept trading up, but we don't know that when this happens. So that's my question for you. Have you ever been in this situation? I got to imagine you have. And what do you do when your order doesn't get filled at your plan level? Do you adjust your plan? Do you chase the stock a little bit? What do you do?
It's funny you should say that because there's plenty of times on the show, probably at least a couple of times a week, where something similar to that happens, and I'll say out loud, I'm saying it to myself, but because we're on the show, it's out loud to everybody. I'll just be sitting there saying, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. Because I wanted at a certain price or risk to reward. I was even saying that when I kept missing breakdown trades on SMCI today. I was using we have a better stop order. We have a really good stop order that sits server side, and I wasn't using that one because it's old habits die hard, so I was using the primary, which I shouldn't have because it's not as fast. And I kept missing breakdowns. I wasn't getting liquidity, and I was telling myself, don't chase the move because the stock is moving $5, $10 at a time. If you chase it, you're just doubling your risk on it. So I think it depends on the trade. In a situation like that on Chewy, I see what you mean about the 27, but it was that pre-market range high was 27.25. I think I'd have been willing, and I was never looking at that level, so kudos to you. Both Sean and I were looking at 28, and that's where we started trading. It was at 28. So you had it early, I think, and I probably would have, it's easy for me to say I would have liked those quarters for maybe you just put on half at the quarter, and then that allows you to get more at the other price. And I'll do that at times, like I did that when it was dipping into 28. But kudos to you for seeing it. We were essentially like, oh, it's not doing anything. Wake me up when it breaks the 28 level, because then it's got room to go, 29 and then 30. I love that setup. I'll have to start considering that, because I see that and I'm like, oh goodness, it's not doing anything. But really, that's a setup where it gave you everything you wanted. I think you have to have some kind of a plan if you miss by a few pennies to somehow capture the trade, but you never want to chase too far.
Exactly. And I'm actually really glad that you said that about both the setup and then also how you actually attack this. As far like the only thing I could come up with, like, first of all, when it was sitting there at 27 and the stock started to trade away, my first thought was, well, be patient, because maybe it pulls back to this level, maybe you get filled, maybe it retests that. There's a whole lot of things that can happen. So I was just telling myself to be patient. Yeah. But as it started to rip away, I was like, yeah, at this point now I am chasing. So that 27.25 idea that you had there, that's pretty much the only thing that I came up with where it's like, yeah, you really could have done this better. Maybe take a starter a little bit more aggressive, then maybe add when it comes in, if it does come into that, and then go from there. Here's the other thing about this setup that you were just talking about. Let's take a look at ANF. I heard you mention that one as well. All right, so ANF, we're going to have to zoom in a little bit here, and forgive me because I actually have these lines drawn in a different thing here. So here's where ANF really kind of fell. It actually was more like this. And then let's add another one in here. Take a look at this. All right. So ANF kind of fell. It ran out of the gate, and actually you probably want to adjust this a little bit higher. It ran out of the gate, and then look what happened. It rebroke this area. So to me, if you have one of these setups where, and I'm basically just doing this technical analysis based off the information that I have in the pre-market, and I feel like that's okay for this particular trade because we're talking about a short-term trade anyway. Well, look what happened here. We came down to the bottom end of the channel. We bounced back to the VWAP, and then we snapped it on volume on ANF. Then we actually did come back to this level, and this thing has been a short ever since. We're not even back to the VWAP, let alone back to that level. So the setup works in both directions. Chewy, the setup here was for a long. ANF, the setup was for a short. I'm always going to prioritize longs over shorts. That's just my trading plan. I was literally watching the Chewy chart and stalking it and ended up missing it. So definitely try that out. I'd be curious to know how you guys do with that.
No, I like that setup because I find you always want to have more tools in the toolbox when it comes to earnings, because those are the stocks that on that day they're going to be big time movers. I actually like the ANF short as well, but I'm going to blame SMCI for dumping their stock and then all of a sudden capturing everybody's attention, which I know can happen. It was a great look. That short on ANF is absolutely gorgeous, and that continuation is everything you can ask for. Trending to the downside. But Sean, I mean, I want to get Sean was just in a $10 winner on SMCI, and I want to get your thoughts specifically on a stock like SMCI. You know, just because I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Short seller report the day before, literally the next day you're going to talk about you delaying your report. That is not normal. You know the volatility is going to be in there.
Absolutely. Now, first of all, shout out to Sean for that break there. I was actually looking at that 425 break as well. I did not have a $10 price target on it. So the fact that you were able to get 10 points of movement on that VWAP break at 425, that's hot sauce chicken dinner for sure. With SMCI, one of the things here, first of all, there's a number of things like kind of coming up or brewing in this situation. First of all, you just talked about the short report. And I don't know if I need to remind you guys, but like short reports, sometimes they don't really work out. Like, let's take a look at Globe Life. When Fuzzy Panda decided that they were going to say this company's no good, got this thing to print. Didn't this print? Yeah, it's printed in a 40 handle. We had a number of people in our ecosystem that were buying this up mid to high 50s. Stock's printing 103 today. That short report didn't work. We've actually seen this with some other short reports. So if we flip back to SMCI here, yesterday's action, boy, that was kind of trappy, wasn't it? If we look inside here on SMCI, we had the short report, we traded down, and it almost came back to even. It actually had such strength on that trade up that I was like, I wouldn't even be shocked if this went green. Well, it didn't go green. We traded sideways, and then we got the announcement here today. So as far as short reports go, first of all, if you don't have a short-term trade plan, and I didn't for SMCI, I didn't trade it, I said, you know what, let's wait maybe 2-3 days, see how this stock reacts to all of this stuff. Well, as you mentioned, it didn't even take a day. The very next morning, now they're delaying their report. That's never good news. This thing was just trying to hunt for a bottom all morning here. And one of the things that I said in the morning was, I'm not going to try and pick this, right? I'm not going to try and catch this falling knife. I don't have chainmail gloves. I'm just not going to do it. So I'm going to wait for this to really kind of show a setup to the long side. And frankly, I didn't get that here until the afternoon. When we broke beneath 400, traded sideways for a little bit, and then broke above 400, that can be a move back to the VWAP. That is a trade trigger. I did scalp that, but I only got 2 points on that. And then you guys were talking about the VWAP break here. This was awesome. We got a test of the VWAP. Then when we broke it on the second try, we actually got somewhat of a back test on this. Thing ended up running 10 plus points here. So SMCI, despite all of the drama that's been going on, awesome long side scalp trade setups here. You just had to be a little patient. You had to wait till the lunch hour.
How's it going?
All good. We'll get to Sean in a second. There we go.
Hello, Mr. Faluna. We'll just figure out our little situation here. We just talked a little bit about Nvidia and SMCI. Yes. And thank you so much for the acknowledgement of that winner. It was only $9, but I mean, I was calling it 10. You know, it sounds better. 10 sounds better than 9. So that was
Round
a good
numbers, baby.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Is there anything in the Mag 7 space right now? If you could pick one, is there something that you're looking at for potentially? And let's just, I mean, I know everything's going to be based on whatever happens with Nvidia, so we're not trying to make calls here or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Is there a name out of the Google, Microsoft, Meta? I'm going to miss one of them probably. We can throw Tesla in there as well. Mm-hmm. Amazon. Is there one of those that you believe is setting up as a potential bottom? Which of those names would you be maybe looking at to pick up for potential swing trade or anything like that? And you could pass on this if you really don't think that anything's setting up.
No, well, so I don't have necessarily like really bottom setups here. You had mentioned Meta. First of all, just get this out of the way. Meta's off my list. It's not something that I trade. I have a personal feeling with the company. It is what it is. The stock I like the most out of here, though, is going to be Apple. And to answer your question here, I'm not really sure that we have a bottom set up here on Apple. Let me go ahead and throw some of these moving averages on here. But I actually think Apple's pretty well poised to trade, especially given all the stuff that's going on here. Now, I wouldn't trade this ahead of Nvidia's earnings. Let's see what Nvidia does for the rest of the market here. But my bias has always been with Apple. This actually feels like the safety trade of the Mag 7s. You can do well with options. I've owned this for a number of years. I've traded it a whole bunch around my core position as well. And here we go. I mean, if Nvidia drags the market down and Apple gets pulled in to either this 50-day moving average or this bottom end of the gap down that it had previously, I think this isn't a bad move for a long side trade setup. The other thing is if you break down to this gap level and then reclaim that 50, you could have some more juice here to the upside. The other thing that we've got, remember, we got Apple's event, right? That's September 9th, if I'm not mistaken. That's coming here. So we're going to hear new stuff about the phone and all of that. I know that there's talking heads going back and forth on TV about a super cycle because the phone's going to have AI capabilities and the whole 9 yards. So you kind of have that tailwind going here. I really like the company itself. I like how it feels a little bit safer. To me, that's easier to trade. And actually, just looking at the chart here, although we are pretty extended from the 200-day, I do think that there's a trade setup to be had here, especially if Nvidia brings this down in the after hours today.
Great talk there. And I remember that you don't trade Meta, so we'll exclude that for next time. Look, nice move back right now in the market. I don't know if you've been noticing this, Ryan, as you've been on, but a nice little push back to the upside right here on the NASDAQ. I mean, trying to bottom out there, 19.3. Kind of baseline there for a minute, and then now starting to get back up. I'll look to short again, down 19,460, somewhere around VWAP. We'll see if we play that game with Nvidia coming in. That's what I want. I was actually going to ask you about XLF because that's really taking off. And it wasn't more specifically about XLF, but is there an ETF or a space? I like XLV, the healthcare space. I think you and I have gone back and forth about this. People aren't getting younger. I believe they're getting older every day. Mm-hmm. So that's always going to be something that we could look forward to. And healthcare, looking at XLV, XBI would be another spot, or XLF in the financial spot as well. Is there maybe a sector that you're more interested in now than something else, an ETF maybe that you're tracking? I know IWM's on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, so IWM is definitely one that I'm always tracking. Like I said, I really love small caps, and I do hold some small caps for the long term on a story basis. So I'm always kind of looking at that. By the way, on your SPY here, 557 was some upside resistance. So we'll see if that stops it here at all. We're about to take out 558. As far as the actual ETFs here, I kind of like energy too, right? I kind of think XLE might be a decent one. We'll see what happens with energy and policy as we get closer to the election and going into next year. I'm always a fan of technology, so I'm always looking at XLK. The interesting one for me is going to be XLF, though. And I'll be honest with you, this thing is absolutely ripping. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I've never really been a great bank trader. Really, the only stocks that I've done well with are some of the smaller banks that pay dividends. I'm not really sure how to trade this. I feel like there's going to be some type of regression back to the mean that's then going to lead to a long side trade. I don't have those levels yet, and I don't have any type of trade plan here. So to answer your question, I would say the ones that I like the most, or the ones that I participate with the most, are going to be XLK and XLE. And honorable mention here to the XLF, which has been ripping.
I do have to give an honorable mention to the Benzinga Pro platform because we use it here every single day. I got this big fancy AirPod in my ear. Not that fancy at all, but you know, listening for that news, and we appreciate the squawk on there. I feel like that's one of the best services that you guys have. You get that news right into your ear right away, and then the news feed and the details, how you guys break it down there. So I do want to give a big thank you to Ryan Fluna from Benzinga for hopping on today on what is such a volatile day. Look, the market's ripping. You just gave us some SPY levels. We definitely appreciate all that talk. But Ryan, we're going to get back to trading, and we wish you and everybody around you the best of luck, and we can't wait for you to make it back up here into Toronto one day.
All right, sounds good. Let's see what Nvidia gives us. I agree. That is going to be the hot stock in the after hours. That is going to be moving. I know it's not really moving a whole lot right now, but it will later. Thanks, boys.
We're ready to go. Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, all right, there it is. Ryan.
It's moving now. It's moving now a little bit.
Benzinga, baby.
The market did a bit of a reversal. A bit of a reversal. 1, 2, 3. This is a 3-minute chart here on Nvidia. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight to the upside with vigor and vim and all that kind of good stuff. VWAP just happened on Intel, so that broke out. I actually had reloaded. I was sitting on the offer during the review. You would have seen me turn my head. I'm like, oh, wow, we're at VWAP already. So we're out of that short, and then it flipped into a break to here, and then if it breaks here, go to there, that kind of a thing. The interesting thing, just because I was in something else, Rivian's still at the low of the day, which leads me to believe that this is probably still short. It's not moving. It's actually still going down when the market wants to go up. And I wasn't sitting on the offer on Alphabet. When this starts to happen, if you can cancel orders, you can cancel orders. And otherwise, you know, you can say, oh, I like VWAP on it. But there's a very big difference between shorting VWAP like this or shorting VWAP like this and just standing in front of it while it's running to the upside like that. Like, that's not ever how I would like to be getting into a trade at all. You want to see something like that. You want to see resistance be resistance. And we're really starting to fly with that. I mean, the ES is just not even carrying it. So, like, this just broke. It just got to 19.8. I'm going to put offers every 5 pennies on Intel, which usually is a relatively weak name. But look at Nvidia fly continuously. What does Tesla do? Because Tesla was really consolidating that. I mean, Tesla... Yeah, like Tesla very, very strong back through. That was a good consolidation breakout. So I just only have the one long, a little bit of a flip on Intel, and I feel like I should be adding Rivian short because that stock is just so weak right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think that's what we got to do right now is look for weakness. We're going to go back into the futures as it is by far my number one P&L name today. It's not even close, is the TQQ. So there's the rip up. We just shorted right here 04s. Whatever, it was just printing 10 pennies. I'm only going to give this to 20s again. We sort of talked about sort of our comfort level with some of these names. We don't want to get ripped up. That 67 here, maybe if I zoom in one more time a little bit right there. That's 67.20, I believe. Yeah, 67.15s. So right there, we'll take a 90 if we can get this. That'll be 15 cents. So we'll be a little bit better than 1-to-1 if we get out at 90 right now. So there's the beginning of a short for us on the triple Qs. I think it just printed like 89 or 92s and we just missed it. So that we're going to sit there. Again, I just went down 15 cents and was like, that's going to be roughly the risk. So let's see if we get that. We'd obviously like to grab that. So that should be something to come through right now. We talked about only having 25%. Well, that's less than, 10%. Less than that now as Palantir right there. We got a piece out. We did that live on the air again. Now you're coming right back into this level where we're going to get stopped out if it breaks above 40 right now on Palantir. Because we have the short in the market now with the NASDAQ. So we're already short right now. I'm not going to re-short Palantir. So the logic behind that is that if the market continues to rip up, then we'll lose on the TQ position, which is perfectly fine because we're not putting the risk in that we put in earlier on this name when we are much more confident on this kind of a play. Look how confident we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, all the way to the downside. People were like, are you sure you're going to get to 67? I said, yes, Hal. I'm not sure we're going to get there, but if we do, we're going to take it. And that was an absolute monster. That was $1 in the money before you could blink, basically. And then now we'll just see if we can get a retracement back in here for the TQQs, put a little bit of money back in our pocket now and see if that will come through. So just Palantir and the market short right now into the close. So again, just giving this as much room as we talked about, breaking through 20s. And then that's worth the try for me. So we'll see if it works.
Yeah, we're into power hour now, and which means we're an hour and 15 minutes away from Nvidia earnings, but they're not the only ones. Like right at the bell, you're going to have, I think CRM might be first. I'll double check. You get CRM, you get CrowdStrike.
Nvidia's 420.
It's four. Yeah, there's a bunch before. Affirm is before them as well.
There goes the market.
There is a difference here. Difference between Amazon and Google. You saw the way Google was going into VWAP, screaming and breaking resistance. Amazon, which was the other name we were looking to short, came right into resistance, top-tailed it, and now trying to reverse. So grab the short. I was trying to add to it in here. Well, get some a little tighter to 170.80. Wasn't able to, then got some down underneath 160, 170.60. So if we get back down into 170.25, that was a line of support for pretty much the entirety of lunchtime. I would suspect that there's going to be buyers down there as well. So that's where the bid's going to go. Still want to see if we can get more off of this high, local high, 170.85 or so. So just a bit of a difference. I looked at two names on any pops that we wanted to go short. One of them was Alphabet. Look at the way that it responded to its resistance that I liked. Obviously, it's turning at this level, but that's what it did here. Too strong. Amazon was just distinctly different. And that's, again, everyone's going to have their own reasons for getting into a trade or not getting into a trade. But I just rather, if I'm looking at two, which one is setting up better? And this one's set up just a little bit better. I still feel like I should have been getting Rivian. Like when the market went up like that and this didn't budge, like the first thing I should have done was just get on the offer. I didn't do it until after. Like I saw this wick and then threw the orders in after the fact. And now it's starting to make some lows. So we're into Amazon. I have my stop at Intel here at 70s, but I'm going to tighten that up. I'm going to tighten it up to 72 because if the market wants to roll here, I never really like Intel long in the afternoon at all. So that's as far as it wants to go. I'm tightening the stop. Not a big fan of the stock in general.
We're 30 cents in the money on our NASDAQ short. I think we've made like 300 handles or something on the NASDAQ today in total. I mean, when we talked about running from the top to the bottom there, like that alone from 30, so we were right here. So we were at I had 19.63 all the way down to, yeah, that trade alone is 250 handles. And then we just kept on adding to it. So like when you keep on going, adding to it, and then right now, again, more. Like this has been a quite the trade happening on the futures. I do want to give a big shout out to Adam, who I wound up meeting in London and who was just like, man, he's been watching me trade the futures. Just stay on that. So we stay on our grind right now and just go right back into it. And there, we took it, again, like, I don't have to deal with this too much because no one actually comments on Twitter about this anymore because we're proving it every day. And it's just like there's so many people out there that pretend to have trades on, or maybe they show you a big number and they're like, oh my God, look, I just made X amount of thousands in a day. But I mean, you guys are, I'm sitting here taking these trades with you and showing you the executions and showing you all of this. We've traded 7 names. We'll go huge on these names. And they're pretty simple trades. Here comes the downside right now again on TQQ. I mean, just talking about SMCI, I saw someone say they're $15, $10 in the money. I mean, that's that trade. Like we said, everyone's going to have their tops where they got out. We got out at 439 on a 430 break. You know, so if it keeps on going, great. But that's just, again, another trade idea, hopefully taken and taken well. Here comes the TQs. I mean, 55 to 200 period, if we can go top there to down into here, we'll take that. Let's put a bid right now on the TQQs, and then we'll just ho-hum right now 50 cents. I mean, this is what we're doing. We'll see if we can get a bid down there on the NASDAQ. And just as we said, right there, that was 60s down to 20s. That's another 40 handles right now on the NQs. So just keeps on working. There it goes. What's up, Adam and Jay Lee and everybody in the chat? I really hope. And thank you, Ron D. I mean, that is what it's all about. Putting on trades. Like, there it is, right? What's up with that? So right there, we just talked about the TQs, where we're putting our bids. There's our bid right there on the TQs. It's a 50-cent winner, Neil. It's cash. Great trade on Amazon. Great trade over here. This is what we're doing.
Exactly.
We'll be close to the high of the day right now.
One line to another. Like, it's the good thing about it too is like you almost don't have to describe it, because you have a support line, you got a resistance line, you take the short off of one, you get out in front of the other. So I did the same thing here, but I had to pick the name that we were kind of picking on. Pick the name that we were picking on. Whatever. That could have been said more eloquently. But you have to. And at the end of the day, you trade what you're most comfortable with. The stock is at the right level. But when this came into the bid, I said 170 quarters on Amazon was previous support. Clear as day. Well, I did a line of best fit. It's a line into the support level when you're making it after. This is a line into the resistance. So I never expect it to hold precisely. But when it fails the top, short underneath. When it tries to bounce off the bottom, take profit. If it breaks down here, get out in front of that level just underneath 170. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this market could easily just retrace to the low. Anything can happen on a day like today. But look, as you just got the wick on the NASDAQ. I'm not really looking at the ES. I look at the NASDAQ instead, but same thing. You got the wick. It was a big move to the upside, almost like program buying. But remember the last few sessions, I'm not saying we'll go down, but last few sessions, we've seen that last 10, 15 minutes with a lot of those big cap tech names, and it hasn't been green for them. I'd be a little bit cautious when it comes to those trades to the long side. They're really, really good moves up. Let's see how this responds. I'm talking all the big cap tech. How do they respond when you regain some of these levels where we just turned, like Tesla 205, that Amazon level 170.70 or so, Apple 227.5. Google felt really strong. It got over VWAP. Now look at it. Like right back underneath VWAP. So if this starts stair-stepping down, this could also still be a short. And then the biggest and the baddest, of course, Nvidia. Feel like that one, if this one breaks out the top, you might just want to start looking for some longs in Nvidia. Like that'd be the one to, I think that's the one to maybe look for some longs if VWAP gets held here, as opposed to trying like Tesla or AMD or Amazon or Google, or I haven't even looked at Meta. I'd rather try Nvidia if it starts to get going to the upside.
Yeah, I really think that's a wise move, as we'll trade the best names here. SMCI still at 440. We'll continue to look at over there. Now it's got my attention. Palantir, we could reload this here. We already sort of talked about that high, and we stayed away from it. So that would have been another good spot there to do something. I feel like the futures right now, I'm pretty, like I'm not exhausted. It's just, we've sort of talked about how our day's been, and there's one thing about finding ideas and another thing about forcing something. We were very, 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 very patient with this trade, right? We let this go all the way up. This is new me right here. And then that wick out right there at 55. I mean, again, you saw me take the fill. So the thing about it was, like, wait for that trade to come through, right? In the morning, we really had our spot. This is just be that dude, take these trades, like be that guy and take them. And that's what we did there. And that's what we did here again, where we had sort of gone short, talked about why we wanted this, have those plays early. And then there's the 67 break that comes right from the sticky note. So right now, we'll just play our strategy again. Comes back up into VWAP, which matches with some past support, or in this case, resistance. So we take that fill, and then now we get out 60%, right? First level there for 1-to-1, I think that was 20 cents. And then we took a 75, which we always kind of get out around 75s. And then that just dipped right back in, and we were there live. And I was saying, hey, man, the best we're going to get is probably 40s. Let's take a 50. So we wind up bid enter 55s. So now I think like the next set of rules would be back into the 50 or so. So 66.20 or something like that for this. I think it's well worth it, man. Our stop, we already talked about where that is. Let's wait to see if we can get a nice little push down in again and add to our 300 or so handles. I think it's more than that up on the NASDAQ today, trading with this vehicle. It's 3 times the move. So fits what we're trying to do here. Pretty good. So, okay, here it comes in. Remember I just said the next level for me would be 20s. So let's give that a little shot here in the arm. If it comes back into there, let's try it. We'll go back down into that range right now for the TQQs, man. It might be a trade for you. It may not, but right now the futures are making that move back in one more time. Chewy was absolutely great today as well. We talked about that, breaking that 28 level. There it goes, Chewy breaking 28s. We did at one point have the high of the day until it broke and went into 30. We said 30 possibly as a high. I think we'd still like to look short on that one. In the old personal account during lunch, we talked about this. I didn't talk about it on the show. We dumped Nike when Nike broke 84 right here. We had bought some down into here. I'll look at it was $74, something like that. We just averaged in. We had Nike from before. So we'll take that out up here as Nike potentially retracing back down with not a good day. And I was actually disappointed, Neil, when you told me about Starbucks because I'm not out of that one yet. And that's okay. It's still fine, 95. China. But yeah, this morning we were talking about it. I was like, what? We even had fault. It was it Mike? Oh no, yeah, it was last night with Brian Shannon on, and he was like, yeah, let's just stay long, and it's actually into weekly levels here, and we talked about that up at $100. How nasty is that $100 level? It actually goes back to like 2022 or 2020, sorry, just before COVID. There it is right here. This $100 level right here. So right there, that's 100. Like, look how good this looks right there as a top. So yeah, wanted to get out of a little bit of that. Still 40 cents in the money on our NASDAQ.
You've seen PDD? This is all of China is burning. Okay, I shouldn't say burning. That's not good. But like look at this thing. This was down a bajillion% yesterday. It's down another 8. And look at it try to make bottoms. It was a good SSR bounce at 88. Exactly at $88. This bounce like 88 to VWAP. 88's an interesting number, but yeah. Anyways, it's still like that's nasty. The Pinduo Duo was like the one chart you could pull up of the Chinese ADRs that wasn't really bad, and then all of a sudden it hasn't even found a bottom. So I don't know where the bottom is going to be on this. Unfortunately, it's dragging a lot of stuff down with it. Fortunately for Alibaba, suddenly Alibaba doesn't look so bad after all, does it? Alibaba doesn't look so bad now. It's actually holding for now. The 50 and the 200 and some higher lows could come into play here. So what was once weak, maybe now relatively strong. I don't know if that's going to be true. We'll see what happens with that one. I just want to quickly mention Rivian got back through the 70. I was short 82s and 84s for an average price of 83, but it broke that 70 level. So there's your wick bottom, and then it broke out here. Once I saw it accelerating, just like on Alphabet, canceled his orders that didn't fill in here, so no reload, and then just jump out. If it gets to VWAP, play it by ear, but that was a volume bottom that you just saw, which some people would call it a capitulation bottom. But that's a pretty decent volume bottom. Want to make sure we're jumping out of the way of that. And Nvidia trying to hold on to VWAP. And this is adjacent to 126.5, but I think this is more of a break at 126.5. I know I didn't draw the line exactly at that price. Sometimes you're zoomed out and you draw a line of best fit at this close and that support. But suffice to say, if we get through 126.50, I think this one has a chance to run. Holding on to VWAP is Nvidia. If I go long something, I feel like I just want to take a shot at this. With only 40 minutes to go till the end of the day, wow, it's coming up fast here, it seems like. Hopefully I don't want it to go up. I still have Amazon, but if something's going to go. It'd be nice if it was Nvidia.
All right. I'm going to put another, so we're out of only 60%. I'm going to put another 20% right here. I try to do this in like 5 tranches, actually, for my futures positions. And I know that's a lot for a lot of you. And it's just like, I'm going to try to get out at 5 different spots and try to hold 20%. That's something. For equities, it's completely different because I'll have a whole bunch of shares and we can just throw out and not pay for execution fees or anything like that. We actually get paid to add liquidity. So sometimes if you have even 200 shares of something, you get out like 20 or 30 shares at a time. So it starts to add up and you're like, what exactly am I doing here? But this one for the futures, let's just let it breathe a little bit and see if we can hold something for a much bigger move. But with that being said, I'm going to put another bid right here where we got out already. 50. I'm at 56 now. I was at 55 before. That's what we got before. So we'll see if it falls back in. We'll do that because the thing is that I am not, Fabian, reloading this trade. I'm not going to take that risk. Yeah, even Fabian saying don't do it, man. So we're just going to watch out coming through right there, $67 for TQQs. We're going to watch out for that. We have Donald J. Trump media news that Elon Musk apparently is going to be stepping up his sort of advisory role here for the Republican Party. And here it is right here. We just had Ryan Faluna on, so big shout out to Benzinga Pro right now. Elon Musk eyeing 2024 edge. I don't know what that means. Hires Republican political advisor. The move suggests that Mr. Musk, the world's richest person, is preparing to become even more involved in the presidential campaign and beyond, quoting the New York Times. So there it is. We go over to this should not affect Tesla other than maybe going down because you say, well, the leader has lost his focus, but he has not. I don't believe anyways. We saw him go through all that X troubles and things like that. So watch out for that. DJT doing these things.
Focus on Optimus.
Tesla, yeah.
DJT actually moving too.
Tesla not moving. So there you go. So without even knowing what was happening, we make that prediction and it turns out to be right. A nothing burger there for Tesla. Tesla's at the 200 period though.
It's trying. Great. Thank you, Hey Davis, for answering Barry's question. Because Barry, I was going to say it myself. Barry was asking, you're going to trade in the aftermarket on Nvidia? That's a no. Don't trade in the aftermarket. If you have a position in the aftermarket, my take is usually here at Real Trading, I'm just looking to flatten that position. I want to get out. Every now and then it's going to happen. Maybe you wanted to put something into the auction or hold it into the close and you punch out a couple seconds after the market. But to Nvidia, the thing about trading on earnings is you don't have access to the same order types, which is very different. You don't have near the liquidity that you're going to have before. Your stop orders are going to behave differently because of that lack of liquidity, and you might have to use market orders just for safety. Your risk to reward is on what. Your reaction to when the report comes out as a human is piss. So there's a lot of reasons I don't necessarily love it. Like, we're not here making an options bet where you're just defined when you put it on. And this is very different. And I've physically seen people get rinsed on those trades. And I look at the difference. Okay, well, you have a strategy that works, and then you see it work a few times, and then you watch the one time it doesn't. And then you watch the one time it doesn't, and then that's enough. That's the way I look at it. Like that downside, even if the strategy works great, but the one time you lose, it has nothing to do with the structure of the trade. It tends to usually mean that your stop got run and there was no liquidity and you just couldn't get out. And that's something I don't like at all. I try to avoid those situations. So Nvidia, maybe not actually breaking out yet. You're getting a sideways consolidation off VWAP. The market's trying to make a press higher. I feel like this wants to go, but it's not quite making that run to the upside. I kind of like this one for a breakout. Maybe there is something stronger than Nvidia that I'm not seeing that's worth it for this break. It's consolidating for this look. Maybe a dip off of VWAP. I did want it breaking resistance instead of just being long in front of resistance. Never liked the notion of being long in front of resistance. I'm going to check back in. Amazon doesn't seem to want to get back up. I'm still offering close to 170.80. It's now making lower highs. So I have to make an adjustment here. It's not pressing back into my entry. It's making a lower high. So I have to take the lower high if I want to get more.
I mean, as Neil battles with Amazon right there, we are instantly in the money 50 cents right now with Meta. So we'll wait to hopefully that continues to move down. Let's go down on this market. We just shorted Meta right there, and it just came right in like, thank you very much for that one. Meta right here. Nice little level, little jump off level there of 519. We already double touched it. So here it comes in. We're short at 518.40s. It just printed 517.80s. But again, like, it's a spread problem with Meta. Hopefully it will come back in just a little bit. We are bidding 517.50s. Maybe we get that drop in right there and we'll try to make $1 real quick on this trade. Again, giving ourselves up to here. We should have just, if we were doing our normal logic, we could have just gone 1-to-1 because our stop's going to be 519. So right there, we just had, what are we short? We're short 40s, so 60 cents. We could have just got 80s. That would have been it, exactly 1-to-1. But we'll play for one little swoop down here on the futures and see if we can't get that trade. So that'll be Meta. Again, a little stronger than the market, so I am a little bit weary of it. Do we just want to take it out for 1-to-1? Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think this is also very, very valid, Coffee Trader. Why am I don't understand why I trade in the afternoon. I know you're talking about yourself. It's slow and get anxious. I mean, you could see here, I'm like a little squirrely here sitting here, right? Because I can't say it. And we use a little more shares here. And you guys sort of know that. So when I'm trying to put on something, I try to make it, a trade that makes a lot of sense. And if it doesn't, then we'll try to stay away. And I do find it a little harder in the afternoon because you get the direction wrong. A lot of the times you'll be sort of lulled into averaging in and doing things that generally you won't really like to do. So yeah, I do think that that is some kind of upside risk to doing stuff like that. But you know what? Money, 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 money. Get the bid on Meta. I mean, we just got 70s there on Meta, so we'll go for that. 70 cents right there on Meta. I mean, this is what we're doing. It's kind of just leveling it up, you know. So that's the trade. We'll wait to see what happens now. I have no more bids on this thing. If it collapses through, it collapses through. You guys, I don't. All right, I'll just let my trading speak for itself. You know, sometimes it's hard, you know, to figure out what these trades are doing. I feel pretty proud of everything, so we'll just keep it at that. All right, the NASDAQ, another move down in. We'll wait to see if 55s, 56s, 57s comes in. That's where we're bidding 56s right now for that one. What's up, Chef Joe? What's up, NYC Urbanista as well? There in the chat as we keep on trucking around. We do have, I thought we had a firm. Okay, so tonight we have, let's just go over this. We have CRM coming at 4 p.m. So Salesforce, another name that we had Michael Noss, but Brian Shannon on yesterday, where we talked about Salesforce. I like the stock, man. I mean, I really like this name breaking through this level of. It's too bad because today we had a lot of pullback in some of these names, obviously, as the NASDAQ right now is down 1 and a bit, 1.5, 1.2. Wait a second, what is the NASDAQ down? We just battled back, my bad, hold on. 1.1, okay. So here's CRM. I really think this has a chance, man. Well thought of. Came down to the 50 period. It didn't really hold it, but it didn't tank off of it. That was a big move down in. Obviously, back there August 5th, we all know that day. And then the take and trying to bounce off of the 200. You would say, well, it's bouncing off the 200, but I think it just gave a good entry spot. If it wants to bounce off, I think it gives us that clear, and then you get back up to 285. So, you know, I think Salesforce does have that opportunity to put something out. Now, CrowdStrike, again, another name that we're basically, I thought I looked before, we're basically at the money now on our reload buy. I feel like we had bought something in here around 2. No, I feel like we only bought it once. I'll have to double check, but this was a beautiful bounce back for CrowdStrike. We'll see about their earnings. Did they lose customers? Did they not? If they come back with a little bit more positivity, maybe that stock really wants to go. Hewlett Packard. I
don't know. I'm flat. I know. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure. I'm dead flat on CrowdStrike.
Yeah,
dead flat. 265.
I feel like that's about right too. And then Affirm again. The only thing I've never been a fan of this name, and I've sort of coined the buy now, pay never term, and that was really popular amongst traders and whatnot, and that's just what I believe in. I'm just joking about the buy now, pay never. But if the consumer is pretty strong, this stock seems to work. We've seen credit cards going lower and things like that, and some worries about the consumer. So I don't like Affirm other than the short float potential there for a little bit of a squeeze. So all right, Meta's still 60 cents in the money right now. Let's see if we can bleed a little bit lower. Meta. We actually took out 2/3 there on that play because we were just like, wow, that was 70 cents real quick. What's up, Adara?
Beware of Amazon here, AMZN. We have Amazon Web Services announcing that they now have their parallel computing service generally available. This is apparently for high-power computing, HPC. It'll help customers easily set up and manage their performance computing clusters with regards to running scientific and engineering workloads through AWS. So nice little announcement here for Amazon's AWS for high-powered computing, guys.
Yeah, when that news dropped, it's actually in the same range as before. So either it breaks, after the news happens, it either breaks the range up or breaks the range down. So not a lot going on with it for Amazon after that drop. And again, like it's not necessarily good or bad, is how the stock wants to react to it. That's always going to matter a heck of a lot more. Nvidia is now really going, along with everything else, Nvidia is really going sideways. It's bouncing off VWAP. It's gearing up for a potential breakout. It just hasn't quite made that push yet. You still have, it's about 90 seconds to go until we get some early look imbalances, of which I don't think Nvidia's ever actually been on the early look. We know at 350, it's often going to be a big imbalance. We haven't actually seen this one on the early look. I'd still favor that one as a break trade. I haven't gone back over to AMD, but it's starting to set up pretty nicely. So there's the top resistance, now lower high. So this is now holding underneath VWAP. And I wanted to see how things reacted after that big move to the upside. All of a sudden, AMD starting to look good again to the south side trade in front of VWAP. So I'm going to get on the offer. I mean, 147.44 is that local high. I'd like to get it in the quarters and then give it to that local top.
I think we'll just try to get out. Oh, there it is. We got out. All right, spin it one more time. We'll take 40 cents right there. We got 518 flats on Meta. We just had basically a fake out. So, you know, we were able to take that 80 cents. Then we'll take 40 cents. I mean, look, it could rip back up, and that's fine. But I don't like this. Fell back in. We almost got to fill on the TQs. Or did we? No, we didn't get it. So let me just check it on the TQQs, actually. How far did we come back in right there? We were bidding 56s. Okay, so not really. 65s. Okay, miss it by 10 cents. But look what's happening now. So we don't need to be in Meta anymore. So we'll just make sure we cancel all of our stop orders and all of that and make sure we're not in it. So there it goes. We take that out on Meta. And just like that, I mean, this is what trading's all about. Notice when you're in trouble and get out. We put that profit in there. Now we don't have to worry about it. It's all good right now. So all good right now. OpenAI in talks of a funding round right now. So I didn't think that. All right, so we'll see. I could see that would be a reason for Microsoft to go back up because if they're going to be raising money, Microsoft already has money in this thing. So 511, 512 here for Microsoft maybe in play. What's up, Adara?
Quite a few names to talk about here making outsized moves, most of which to the downsides. We're going to talk about some S&P 500 stocks trading sharply lower. One of them we have talked about quite a bit today. It's SMCI Supermicro. Initially, this one moving down here and actually dropping about 20% immediately on this news that they have delayed their 10K filing for their earnings for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. We also had some analyst updates, though. Wells Fargo lowering their price target from 650 to 375. And then we have CFRA lowering their price target from 729 to 454. So sharp price target decreases in another slew of bad news here for SMCI. Next up, we have LULU. This is Lululemon. They're reporting earnings here on Thursday, trading a bit lower here along with Foot Locker and Abercrombie. NKE also getting hit particularly hard. So a sympathy move for Lululemon, also getting a price target decrease ahead of its earnings after the bell tomorrow. Last but not least here, we do have Starbucks SBUX. This one down almost 4%. Berjaya Food, which operates Starbucks' locations in Malaysia, actually reporting a net loss of 38.2 million currency here, ringgit, compared to the a profit here of 17.25 million ringgit in the year before period. So sharp loss here for Malaysia operator of SBUX, guys.
Much there, Adara. 330 did hit. I can tell you sell on CNQ. That usually doesn't matter. 2 million shares. BAC is a 1.1 million buy. Visa is a 1 million buy. Those are ones that are always there and never matter. That Lumen every now and then seems to be there, but I don't think there's anything early look that's going to matter. I think what's going to matter is at 350 when Nvidia possibly has an imbalance that could move some things around. So very quickly, tighten our stop. There was news on Amazon, but whether there was news or not, I would do this anyways, where it goes to the lower high, and I'm going to tighten it up, and then it goes into VWAP in there. AMD also pressed into VWAP. I got 22s. It's at 12s, which is very slightly coming back in. Nvidia has yet to break, but it got so close to break out this to breaking out this top. Nvidia is now really starting to press along with the market. Just need to see it break out a little bit stronger. Still a little bit of weakness when it gets up to 126.5. No push through. The buyers take it there. The buyers do not extend it past, unfortunately. So we might have to wait for a little bit of time here on Nvidia. If it doesn't do something before 350, I'd wait till after. 340, I'd say. But then I'd wait till 350 for anything on NVDA.
We were already long Nvidia at 122, change 123. I mean, the fact that we got out, we were pretty happy getting out at 125.50, which isn't that far from where we are right now. So we've already damage done on this, in a positive way, done on this name. We'll wait to see what else is going on now. We did get stopped out of our TQQ position, which is completely fine. I mean, we only took profit on 60% of it. The other part came out for exactly flat right there on that break higher. It looks like it's going to hold that level, the NASDAQ, but I don't know. Oopsies, wrong way. I guess we just bounced off VWAP. For some reason, I guess VWAP was a little bit different on the TQs than it was on the actual NASDAQ, which is fine. I'm always going to use what I'm using, but there it is right there. Looks like a little bit of a hold to me when I have it slightly breaking on the TQQ right there. So I had it at 67. Here, we'll zoom in. 67 O's. So we have it at the 10s, breaks higher. So, all right, all good on that one right now. Look, don't get FOMO, man. I mean, as we say, trading is tough. We always talk about that. And so far here, it's been one of those days. We're putting up numbers. You can always, again, we don't disclose share size, but any trades that we were just in or any ideas. That's why we sort of have that rundown that we do afterwards, after the 1 p.m. show. Comes over to us at 2, and then we go over some of the names. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about, I mean, we talked about why I got out of Meta there. It just looked like you were starting to get back up to the upside. We talked about that fail there, and then this move. So that was a good out for Meta before it ripped up 80 cents. So we got out, put that money in our pocket, put another positive name on the board. That's that trade. And then we just got another reload right now. So I did go back into Palantir. So we just got, we're short now 36. So you want to join the trade? We're right here right now on Palantir. We're into this HPQ reporting right there. 30.40 is what we're getting out on. The stop's already in. So this one, honestly, guys, 5 cents worth of risk. I think Palantir, if this market wants to fall back in, is well worth that trade. Here it comes right now into 33. It's Palantir, and it's making the move back. So we're into this short, guys. PLTR. Too bad we got stopped out.
Yeah. Oh, PLTR. That one can't seem to break 33 every day. Like, did it break 33 yet? Did it break 33? If the answer is no, there's been opportunities to fade that one. So we got back in VWAP on AMD here. I'm just going to put a trail in. We're getting close to 340. Thank you in the chat. Someone just put in the chat, Neil, have you seen WTO today? So first off, if we fail this little consolidation level, if you hold a level for 40 minutes, then I want to respect it. If it gets back to VWAP, we'll scalp it in and out and see if we can't get back in before 350. But I do not know what the heck is up with this stock. I was just searching the news and it's a vaccine play, but it doesn't matter what is wrong with this stock. This is about as nasty as it gets. There's going to be a lot of people that see a stock that goes from $2.20 that does this. They're like, well, I mean, it can only go to 0. I know some people that trade like this every now and then. That is so hilarious. I love this. Little mini-me. Hi, guys. Can we do high five? Hold on a second. No, this high five. Oh, no, I have to go. There you go. That's a little bit better. Boom. I feel like this is going to... Oh, we're going to have some fun with that. Fabian and Ramin are never shy to give us some fun things to be able to do around here. So, yeah, this WTO, it's bad, down 97%. You can only imagine that you're not going to have, usually you don't have much time to trade these before. It might just end up delisted. I'm trying to dig through some stories. It's kind of hard trying to read when you're looking at this and obviously actively trading and trying to find some trade ideas. But yeah, very, very nasty. It's done 420 million shares. So there's plenty of liquidity on the stock. Just a dying quail at this point. And there were some opportunities for bounces. I don't wonder if this is even not available tomorrow. If it is, maybe there's a bid off 1 cent. I once actually bought a stock while here at Real Trading years and years ago, and I did play a 1 cent bounce on a stock. Just for the shot that, okay, well, is it going to go to 0? And all you needed to get was 1 tick. It ended up working out that day, but trust me, sometimes you do that, and then the next day you're having to unload your shares on the OTC, which is not always what people want to do. So be very careful trading it. That's a nasty one. I like that AI. Honey, I Shrunk the Traders. We just did movie night at my house. My daughter saw Honey, I Shrunk the Kids for the first time a couple of weekends ago, and she absolutely loved it. Man, that movie holds up. It's funny. Rick Moranis is great. And if you've never heard the story of Rick Moranis, who plays the dad, his wife got cancer. He quit Hollywood when he was on the top to raise his kids. That's a dude right there. That's all I got to say. Like, he put his family first, and he was right. And he had just done like all that stuff. Like, he was in a couple of Ghostbusters movies. He was just starting to make it. And he was sort of, I don't know about a household name, but clearly he was starting to do well. But he went to take care of business. So AMD, we got out when it didn't break the range down. Always want to be cautious with that. So it tries to bounce here, not quite getting into VWAP, which is right at 25.30s. If it gets all the way to the top, then we'll go for it. Jay Lee, imagine getting short WTO at $2 this morning. I mean, yeah, we can all imagine a lot of things. Obviously, if you shorted this, yeah, but who's holding it to 6 cents? You know, even if you're short at $2, if you're not holding it to 6 cents, you're probably getting it. I don't know where you're getting it out, but wow, these things happen. That's why you have to be careful when you're trading or investing, I should say, in penny stocks and really big small caps. They're a very, very dangerous game because anything can go to zero at any time. You have one bad story about maybe it's like a phase 1 or a phase 2 trial, and a lot of those names can be 80% down, 50% down. In this case, 97% down.
People wondering, where did Sean go? Where did Sean go? I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Sean is back. Please tell friends and do it by subscribing. So hit the like and the subscribe right now. We're back, and we're not going to leave you guys. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Hopefully Palantir will fill a little bit. This would be 1-to-1 if we get 33s. We always talk about taking out something at a 1-to-1 level. So we'll just sit here. Hopefully it runs through us, and we'll take some 33s on that fill. So hopefully that will come in for us. And again, we're short here at 37s. So there it is. It rips right through us. We'll take actually, and we get a 32 there at the same time. So I didn't even realize we had that bid. Okay, now we have a 30 coming through here again. So, don't judge us for our looks. Judge us for our trades. I mean, there it comes right in again. Let's see if this one continues to work out. That $10 winner on SMCI turned out to go up to $4.45 right there. So would have been $15 at the very top. But guess what? We're right back into that level again. And remember what I said earlier today on the sticky note and earlier, watch out for Nvidia, kind of doing nothing here. We looked at it yesterday into the close, didn't do much until the imbalances. The imbalances are now 10 minutes away from popping off into our imbalance locator. And right now we have Ben. So it's up to Ben right here. Remember it was Benjamin Electric or something like that?
It was
So it was, CNQ as well. These are the usual suspects. And then some warrants that are in here as well. So at 350, all of those will populate, and we will see what happens there. I might just put some more on Palantir. I mean, we didn't even get our 30s. If we can get a 32 again, fine. We're not out of that much of it. We're out of about, there we go, we got a fill there. We're out about 40%, maybe 35% of this trade. I did have a bigger order at 30s to get out of what now would be about 20% left. So we'll be down to half of our position if 30s fill. And that's just the 50-period moving average. I mean, if we get VWAP again, that's 26s, 27s, that would be fine. And then let's hold something to make a winner out of ourselves. So let's see if that could go right now on Palantir. We said that we had a loser on board today. Womp womp. So we get out of some Nvidia, sort of some JP Morgan there. And then look, right now, this would only be $1.40. But the idea was it stopped out, man. We got out once it broke 50. There's JP Morgan downside. It basically rejects right off the bottom of the day. Right idea, Sean. We just got out a little too early. So, okay, there it goes, man. There's Palantir. We did it again and again and again. And John Travolta says, actually, who is this guy? John, come on, man. We're me and you are friends. There it is. Nice move down in 30.30. We're out of there. And that is what that is. So, there we go. A quick little 7-8 cents there on Palantir. Actually, I guess it took a minute. But a win is a win. And that will be right back in there again. Hey, man, this is, again, a pretty decent P&L name for me today. Palantir to the downside. Yeah, Palantir to the downside. Market's trying to go to the downside. I tried to get back in AMD. I'm now pulling the offer. It's not going to get to VWAPs. We got that 30, 40 cent move out of it. I don't know if we're going to get one more shot. So 7 minutes to go till we get those imbalances, and we'll see what happens. I'm still looking at Nvidia. What's the deal with the thumbs? We're just in a great mood, man. I mean, I don't... We're giving thumbs up. We're doing the good old Barry Horowitz here. It's just been an absolutely banger of a day, dude. Some people think it's Rob Van Dam, but Barry Horowitz, of course. No, Rob Van Dam is this. I know. Yeah. I know. So I've heard people say, those people are wrong. Rob Van Dam is, oddly enough, I mean, he's okay. I always felt he was a little overrated. People can be wrong. I never loved that guy. I never liked his gimmick.
the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, he kind of looks like the guy, but come on, better than that. I was more about the sweet chin music.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, no, Rob Van Dam to me.
Shawn Michaels. My name is Shawn. My brother's name is Michael. Shawn Michaels.
Exactly. I just felt Rob Van Dam.
Nothing to do with
he was like he was kind of like a poor man's Shawn Michaels that just used the Van Dam name because he looked like him. But everything else about him, he basically was copying Shawn Michaels' style, in my opinion, which I was not a huge fan of. Got to be original. A&F, I just heard, wow. I don't even want to know what that stock is doing. So let's see what happens with Nvidia. With only 5 minutes to go, it doesn't end up making that break. So if it's not making the break before 350, it has to do something after 350 as far as I'm concerned. So we'll just have to wait for 5 minutes or so. Not going to rush into anything. I'm going to get up to the desk with a couple of minutes. We're going to have Chris on.
It's almost immediately at 4 o'clock.
I was saying there's earnings starting at 4 o'clock. Like I'm pretty sure it's CRM that's the first one. It's CRM or Crowd. One of them's 4, the other one's 4:05. So I'm going to make sure we get there at like 3:55 and give it like 10 minutes or so. Just get all set up so we'll have the numbers for you. Chris will come on halfway. We'll get Nvidia at 4:20. We'll have it all. But you want to be lined up and locked and loaded and ready to go. May not trade it, but we'll bring you every piece of the price action, beat, miss, guide, which is pretty much going to be everything for Nvidia. It's going to be, let's see what those forecasts look like. Expectations are sky high, man. Absolutely sky high. They've knocked it out of the park before. And let's see if they can do it again, because I fear for us if they don't. A little bit. I mean, in the long run, it's just a buying opportunity in the long run. But in a general sense, I'd rather they do really, really well than dump it, especially after what happened with SMCI. The market's probably a little tepid after that.
Everybody hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit everything. All right, SMCI, we'll have a quick look at that as well. Okay, still just dancing around. I don't think this is the right play. Nvidia, so here we go. It's an expected move of 10%. Yeah, 10% one way puts us at all-time highs if it goes this way. If it goes the other way, it just puts us back to where we were Friday. So let's just wait to see what happens on Nvidia. This name is up 40. Unfortunately, our charts still do not show split adjusted pricing. But there's that move back in. If we can get into, 10% down wouldn't be last Friday, down into here 110. So that would be August the 13th, which would be a couple days, about 2 weeks ago. That's that 10% move back in. It'll be a little bit higher than that as well, back into like 115 or so. So I would still feel comfortable if Nvidia, if I woke up tomorrow and it was at 115. So I feel like that's fine. And then we would love for it to have, whoops, again, sorry about that. We can't look at that chart again. I have to zoom back in. Oh, this might look ridiculous once I do this. Yeah, it does. All right, but anyways, there it is right here, that 140 high. So we'll see if that comes into play. I'm going to zoom back out of that and apologize for our charts not really showing it properly, but that is Nvidia. And I think that, you're going to see different names come through. AMD. AMD is so far off its high, it's unbelievable that this name has a chance to get back up there. I don't think it does, no time soon for AMD. I mean, I think all that NVIDIA is going to say is probably bad for AMD. If Blackwell is being bought and there's no production issues and they guide ahead, man, I mean, I'm all aboard on NVIDIA, not on AMD. Palantir, just kind of dancing again here, man. It did go back all the way to flat. Let's just put a bid down here with only 3 minutes to go until imbalances. What's up, eh?
Beware of Abercrombie and Fitch here, A&F, as we head into imbalances. This one lower after its earnings report, though it beat on sales and earnings per share. Just getting a report here from Bloomberg that JP Morgan has added Abercrombie to its focus list. Not sure if it's to the long side or the short side, because sometimes these top ideas or focus lists can go in either direction, but keep an eye on A&F. I'll let you guys know if I get any more details on this focus list edition, guys.
I feel like they should keep it simple. If you say something's on your focus list, you should be bullish on it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's just like, why would you even try to be complicated with it? Like, say something that's
focusing for shorts.
I mean, like, have something that's obviously negative for that. I don't know. If everyone has their own, it's like the focus list, top ideas list. Like, the analysts all have a different thing. There's no standardization to it, which makes it. I find it actually makes it a little bit annoying, to be honest with you. Like, it'd be much more simple if there was like this. These are the ratings. Give it one of those if you're analyst. Give it when you put a price target. Put a bloody timeline on it. Like, because you have to read some long report to hear one person's price target's 5 years out and another person's is 2 quarters from now. That's nonsensical. It just would make a little bit more sense and give a little more credibility to it. That's all.
credibility in this business. Remember, we've talked about this business being rigged for many, many years. Welcome to Trader TV Live. Thank you, Forex AU, right there. Maybe a gold trader in here. Great show before XAU. Great, whoopsies, where did it go? There it is right there. Great show every single time. We love you too, Forex AU, and we want to give a big shout out also to Kev Trades 93. Thank you so much, Kev Trades, for becoming a member. It's $5 a month, and it does help support some of those cool green screen things and whatnot that we are doing. So, okay, Neil, the time has come.
It's
what do we think for?
$3.50.
What do we think for Nvidia tomorrow? Higher or lower?
Well, I mean, if you're making your bet on stonks, I would go with 117.40. Oh no, that's not
lower. I got
116. I can't do 117. 116. 42. There you go.
What is it as of 420? So okay.
116.42. There you go. I want to make sure I get the 42 in there. I always like the same numbers.
I'm gonna go. I think Nvidia beats. I'm gonna go the other way. I'm going to go 146 and change, okay? I think that we break out the highs right there. You heard it here. Let's go. Let's see. One of us is bullish. One of us is bearish. Let me go over to the other desk because we have Adara here, and let's ask her. Adara, you bullish or bearish? Where do you think Nvidia is tomorrow morning when we log in?
I think they'll beat, but I think if they miss any aspect of this report, if there's anything a little bit not up to snuff, I think they'll sell off. That's my take.
Okay, that's not, no. Do you think it'll be higher or lower tomorrow?
Lower.
Lower, there it is. Okay, 2 bears on the desk, 1 bull. Let's wait to see what happens here as we go. Fabian, opinion, Ramin? Opinion, higher, lower? Higher, okay, a couple higher. Okay, they both go higher, all right. All right, so team higher there. All right, right now we go on these imbalances. Let's see what is happening now. All right, there's the NASDAQ. It is a sell for Nvidia, but it's not moving. So we've seen these sells, although this is a big number. Like 10 million is big, but it's already paired off. So we do not expect a big, huge move there right now for Nvidia into the close. But so far, so good. I mean, I still got a position on board right now. It's Palantir. We've taken some out. I'll probably just clap this out right now at 34s. Doesn't really matter. We'll get this out. We just took some more outs on Palantir as we go. So there it is, man. We get that. Wow, that was a good fill. 30s on that release of the imbalance. So yeah, we're getting lighter and lighter. We won't be at the highest spot we were at all day because we did take a little bit of a hit on JP Morgan, but not much. And actually, I mean, we're pretty close to where we need to be. So, and again, remember, Meta was a pretty good save there at 518. I mean, although it did come up to 519, decent short. So you want to recap some things? I know you got to go over to the desk.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I mean, Nvidia, that imbalance is a nothing burger, and it already paired off. I don't even see it anymore. It was like 900,000. Now it's absolutely gone. Very quickly, I mean, AMD, same range. Like, you could have had one more shot at it, VWAP down into 146.60. So it would have given you that same range twice. I didn't take it, was looking at Nvidia, obviously, in that moment. I wanted to see if it had an imbalance. It just clearly didn't do anything. I do want to go back over, and we'll probably talk about this. Of course, we'll talk about SMCI. That comes right back into the tops. Now, the afternoon highs. If you think about this thing from the morning range, it's still $12 underneath the morning range, down 19%. And if you miss out on any activity in Nvidia, I promise you SMCI is not done. There are 2 names that I think are going to be the big volume type traders for day traders tomorrow, and they would be AMD, SMCI. Every chip name is in the bag as well, but no question about it. Do not forget that SMCI, they're not reporting, but the last 2 days has been a ridiculous mover, and it's one of the first things you want to look at tomorrow morning because the volatility is not going to be gone. It's going to be SSR once again. So I'm just going to make sure we have all of our orders canceled. Jay Bant just said AMD got hacked. You're absolutely right. AMD actually had bad news today. I think we mentioned in the morning show and then got away from it, but it's only down 2%. Most of what it's doing, it was already sliding down, and its chart is very similar to Nvidia, and I wouldn't expect too much different tomorrow. That said, the initial move could be good. As Sean said, it could be good Nvidia, bad AMD.
Yeah.
But if Nvidia goes down, I'm not expecting a good day out of AMD at all. I think the reverse could happen. I'm not expecting Nvidia to be weak and see AMD benefit from it somehow.
All right. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's going to be so many chip stocks and so many things in play. ARM is going to be in play tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're all going to be real spicy, man. Okay, so Apple today, what a day for Apple. Apple went up and down. I mean, here's the imbalance locator. I'll just keep it over here so you guys can sort of see if there's any names that you may want to look at. Apple went all the way down to 225. I mean, it bounced off 225.50, but it had been up to 230 again. So I mean, that's a big move down right there. Bouncing off 225. I really like the fact that we held that 225. 225 was this bottom area there for us. So just a key spot there for KO. I mean, we can watch Nvidia. There's gonna be a lot of you guys watching that. So here it is, right up here. You keep your eye on it. 126.60. There you go. You want to see some flashes right there? That's what it's looking like. And again, we had the bottom of Nvidia today. Nvidia is going to be a positive name. Wish it was a lot more positive and we had more confidence into that level, but it just bounced off of 23s. So we've seen that 23 a couple days ago, or yesterday, comes back in there again today. Nice long area if you had it, and we did. So it was a good trade, but always, I mean, when you close near some key levels again, and we written down today 126 long. So I guess we could have broke that. This was the mistake for me right there, was 120. Look, the first trade was great. That out right there is 127. We take $1. This goes, and remember we were in this name and we're like, we only have a little piece left and we want to hold it thinking it was going to go, but it goes the other way. So we try it again, still stay positive. And then down here, one out, once it breaks 123, they get right back in and ride that back up to the upside. Reminds me a little bit also of what we did on SMCI as well. I'm just delaying because I think you're going.
Oh, I'm getting up. Good luck going in the last 5 minutes. I don't think you're trading anything, but obviously.
Good luck with Chris on that show. It's going to be a lot of viewers. So, yeah, get ready for that one. Our highest viewership was a couple times ago for Nvidia shares. We talked about that on that earnings report. So get ready for a great market recap show. Tons of stocks to talk about there today. I mean, even if it wasn't earnings, man, you had SMCI. Take $2, $3 hits, take 10 or 9. On that one. Look at SMCI where it's going, man. Again, to have held that one into the close would have been a nice runner. I saw a lot of people say, talk about SoFi, my guy. All right. I don't, I'm in this name until we break it down through $8. I think this is a name that you just want to be in for a minute. I don't know enough about these loan repayments and everything like that to really worry too much about SoFi. But there it is right there, $8. SOFI needs to break higher on that one. Disney's been a great name to buy these dips in, but like I said, I sold Nike, should have sold some Starbucks. We'll probably do that tomorrow morning, honestly, as they're now Nvidia's turning into a sell. All right, so still not that big. You just saw that imbalance. It's 355 normally. That will flip the stock on its head, but not this time. All right, it's Adair back at the desk. What you got?
Pretty bearish 15-minute candle forming here on Microsoft. I just read through that story that the Wall Street Journal reported here with regards to the OpenAI funding. So just a detail, if anyone missed that, OpenAI is reportedly in talks here for a funding round that would raise its valuation to $100 billion. It was already valued at $80 billion earlier this year, so pretty sharp increase. However, worth noting, Microsoft's amount that's supposedly being funded here has not been specified. Wall Street Journal here reporting that Thrive Capital is going to be investing $1 billion, but it just said that Microsoft will be likely adding some money. Microsoft declined to comment. So just some details there and updates on that OpenAI story with MSFT, guys.
Thank you, big Kyle Burdett right now. There's over 6,500 of you, and he calls me Don. Thank you so much for that one, big Kyle Burdett. And here it is right now. There we go, man, 6,600. I believe this is a record number. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Record viewership heading into the report. You're not going to get any better coverage than you're going to get from Neil right now tonight on this move, man. We're going to have NVIDIA live. There's nobody else is going to show you a live level 2 of NVIDIA earnings except for us. So there it goes, man. NVIDIA now turning around. Still a big sell into the close. We get out of Palantir. We did it today, man. We did it, and we did it good. Man, did we have TQQs early. Thank you again for this kind of a love. Boom, right back in there. What a day today it's been for trading and for many different names. KSS, it fits like a glove. Nice move there to the upside. We break that level right on the stick. You know, we buy the dips and we say, hats off to you, KSS, as that name was a banger. And then, oh my, give my dog a big hug when I get home. because it was Chewy that barked today with a $1+ winner on that one as well, from $28 right up there into $29.85. So that was, I mean, wow, that was $2. Yeah, okay. So almost $2 right there on Chewy. So all right, thought it was only $1, but a nice one coming in there for Chewy as that one sings to the high side as well, up to $30. Man, oh man, if you're not here tomorrow, then honestly, I hope you're feeling okay. Tomorrow morning, we are going to have a banger of a show. We're going to have so many earnings. Oh, I didn't even get to CRM right now that I think could be even spicier than Nvidia. So watch out for CRM right here with only 1 minute left into the close. We're going to get CRM immediately. We're going to get Affirm immediately. We're going to get CrowdStrike immediately. So all of these names coming at you, 405, 410, HPQ coming at you as well. There is a host of names. Hey, we had the earnings board that Adara worked on, and we didn't call it up once, which is okay. We do not need to. It is only 30 seconds left now. What a day, as we continue to go only 30 seconds into the close. Why are we on CrowdStrike, my guy? Go to Nvidia. Nvidia coming back in. It's 126. I've got 146. Neil's got 116. Adara's got lower with only 15 seconds to go. Where do you guys have? Go on stonks.com and make that call. Here we go. It is up to go. Oh, there. The earnings are back in the background right there. Affirm, Pure Storage, Salesforce, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We get Victoria's Secret, and now, right there, wow. Okay, without any further ado, I hope that was an exciting 7 minutes of me right there. I apologize in advance, or I guess it's already over with. Let's go back over the desk. It's 4 o'clock. It's going to be a great one. It's Neil. It's Chris Brecher. It's all you can eat earnings. Ciao, everybody.
Thank you very much, Sean. We do have CRM already starting to move to the downside. I don't see the numbers just yet. Looks to me like it could have just been some fat fingers. We're expecting them first. They're 4 o'clock. CrowdStrike is to be at 4:05. Affirm at 4:05. HPQ 4:15. The big one that everyone is interested in, of course, is going to be Nvidia. That'll be at 4:20. We expect them to be prompt. We expect it to move the market. There's nothing more important than them in the market whatsoever. And as usual, the initial move on CRM, somebody was selling it right after the market closed. I still don't have any numbers yet. Now it's to the upside. So just going to wait to see when the actual report trickles in. Looks like they've announced the results. It just went all the way 260 to 266. Right back into the downside now, heading negative 255. So it looks to me like revenue is $9.33 billion, 8% up year over year, up 9% in constant currency. So that is a good number for revenue. Operating margins are 19%, 33 previously. I'm going to skip right into the guidance here because essentially they're looking guidance of 9.31 to 9.36, which is a beat year over year. Still looking for some comps here, but it's absolutely flying so far. I think they're liking the guidance. Their cash flow is looking like it's going to be up as well. Got to be careful with this whipsaw action. I mean, there were some moves to the downside on CRM. Initially, some sellers getting rinsed just a little bit. Be very careful. We talk about not trading in the aftermarket because the algos are just going to rinse you every single chance they get. So they've raised guidance. They've raised full year operating cash flow as well. A couple of good notes. Nothing crazy, however. I'm a little disappointed because the expected move was 8% here. So even with it going up, this is not much. From the close, this is about 3 points, or maybe even less than that. And I know now it's starting to go. Now you're getting 270. There we go, a little bit to the upside on CRM. Everyone's going to be interested in Nvidia. I got a level 2 set up over here, so I can always see what Nvidia is doing. If it moves early, we'll let you guys know. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We'll be live for all of these earnings. This is Nvidia. If I see volume spikes, this will go haywire, and I'll jump over to the chart. But we're not expecting Nvidia until 420. They're the big one. You know it's going to have hundreds of millions of dollars of wealth creation or a little bit of a pullback in which we might find some buying opportunities in the next coming days and weeks. So the only thing out right now is going to be Salesforce, and it's not a huge move. I'd say it's almost relative nothing burger for Salesforce. I love the fact that everyone's putting their bets in. They're like Nvidia 105. I see Nvidia 113. From Valib, Yakov is saying 155 as well. So a lot of people getting their bets in there. We do have another name out. Looks like Okta might be taking it on the chin here. Yeah, Okta is out, and they are definitely taking it on the chin. There's some smaller earnings names out there that aren't necessarily everyone's, let's just call them their favorites, or maybe the big, gigantic movers. But Okta, to the downside, not looking very good for them after their report. Just going to see if I can find the numbers on Benzinga for you guys on Okta. We'll see if they actually came through. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit of a minute here. I haven't actually seen them. I see some ridiculous NVIDIA bets. 424 on NVIDIA. If NVIDIA goes to 424, a lot of people are going to be retiring. That's for sure. You're going to break the market if you go to 424. So still pretty nasty when it comes to this Okta. Just want to give it some time to calm down a little bit. And you have CRM. Yeah, nothing burger for CRM. We have 1 minute until we expect CrowdStrike. I'm thinking we could see some fireworks with CrowdStrike, so we want to be ready for them when they eventually do pop through. Still not seeing a lot of action here on Salesforce. I'm going to get on over to CrowdStrike for everybody. I mean, it was a pretty weak day in the overall market. Pretty much everything was red. Expectations are high for NVIDIA, but when you have a red day like today, a lot of times you have that tepid bid. And CrowdStrike, of course, they had their own issues that they had to deal with. We know all about it. We know all about it. Now, no, CrowdStrike is out. CrowdStrike immediately to the downside in here. It's looking not very good for CRM. They just tagged the 255. I can tell you right now, I am out of the money on my CrowdStrike shares because I actually own this thing. Oh, now we're back above the 265. I haven't seen the numbers hit Benzinga just yet. But let's see what they are. I mean, I'm still waiting on them. A little times you get like a couple of minutes or like a couple of seconds delay for CrowdStrike, just checking out to see if we've got any numbers on CrowdStrike. Clearly, there was something in it that they didn't like right off of the bat, and my Benzinga just froze a little bit here. I'm going to have to restart it, but we'll see what we get from CrowdStrike. To the upside, briefly, now back down, pretty much even on Crowd. I'd say this is a bit of a disappointment. People saying don't touch Crowd. I mean, we're not trading anything in the aftermarket. I don't think you want to trade the aftermarket. It's a dangerous, dangerous game. Although this is now headed to the upside, you do have some strong movement in here. 275 into the upside. Come on, reload on this Benzinga, which is starting to fail me in here. John, if you have them, can you yell to me? I'm frozen up there. I'm trying to get off Twitter, but 276 to the upside on CrowdStrike. Yeah, it's looking pretty solid here. The other thing is CRM is still starting to move a little bit here. The big one for everyone that's in the chat, the big one is not for another 15 minutes. I know NVIDIA is what everybody is here for, but until then, you do have a nice move on Crowd. I'm seeing some lowered expectations on CrowdStrike. That's not looking very good whatsoever for that. It's starting to head right back in. If you're wondering why CrowdStrike matters and you could have some volatility, well, this is the exact price area this sucker was at when they had the breach and the initial bounce. It was right off a 265 level. It recovered right to the same level. If it never breaks out from here, I think you're in a world of hurt because the other leg down could be a little bit nasty. Well, everyone's waiting on NVIDIA. I can tell you it's not moving. You're pretty much sideways, which is what we're going to expect here. I see bets of 215, 165 coming in there. Yeah, that's what I've already done. Loaded Benzinga back up, just trying to get its one back working. CRM still moving around a little bit here. You do have it heading back into the downside. Let's see what happens with this bad boy. We are going to expect a firm as well. A firm should be out. Do you have the numbers?
Yeah, so let's just go over here right now. Come over to my screen and we'll let Neil refresh this because we have a lot of viewers on here. We want to make sure that you guys are good to go. There's CrowdStrike right now. EPS 104 beating 97. Sales 963 beating as well. That's CrowdStrike with a nice move right there back up to the upside. Salesforce, we've already got that. So CrowdStrike right now trying to go, and here's what it looks like, man. It's going to the upside, 272. CrowdStrike continues to go. CRM is another name that we've been looking at, 261 right now. CRM CRM trying to go back up to the upside there as well as we wait out for the Benzinga Pro platform to get going on Nvidia. That's supposed to come out at 420, so we'll wait for that. But there it is, 5 below out as well. Right now, better than expected Q2 results coming through for 5 below. I don't see too much else that you guys, there's 5 below right here.
It's good, it's good.
Sales, okay, 780 to 800. Neil is ready to go. Back over to the desk.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had to kill it, restart that bad boy. So it's 104 per share on CrowdStrike, which was a beat for 97 was expectations. 964 million, which beats very slightly. I mean, it beat by 0.5%, but it's a 31% year-over-year increase for them. The other one that's going to be out is Affirm just dropped their earnings. So Affirm, definitely a strong one, at least in the aftermarket. I know I've dogged this stock before, but certainly it's got that short float of 9.4%. They have a beat here on EPS. Their loss was only 14 cents a share as opposed to 51 as expected. Sales of 659 million versus 600. So very healthy beats, top and bottom line for Affirm. It's only up 4 points. This sucker's got a 9% short flow. It's certainly capable of moving a little bit more than that. Still in a bit of a downward channel. Might take that 50 period to the upside. That's looking pretty solid for Affirm. But again, you were shy of expectations here. You know, the expected move on Affirm was 15% was priced in the options. They beat top and bottom, and they're only up 4 points here. So I'm saying it's not that fantastic for Affirm. I see you in the chat. I love to see everybody in the chat. They're on the ball. They're like, what's Upstart doing in reference to Affirm? A lot of times you're going to see it move. Sometimes lockstep, not a heck of a lot. So not much of a move for Upstart. It's trying to go up a little bit. It's got a 30% short float. If a firm blows it out, oftentimes they squeeze together. Logic or not logic, it doesn't really matter. But I can tell you that reversal on Crowd is starting to come in here. So Crowd was up. They were up at 275. Now it's starting to come back in here. We still have about 10 minutes to go until we get those NVIDIA earnings. But CrowdStrike is really just sort of settling in here. After that beat, you're right back into 265. So not looking the best for CrowdStrike. None of this matters to NVIDIA. None of these are going to move the needle when it comes to the amount of wealth creation or destruction that could happen. But I wanted to make sure we got the CRM numbers now that we're back up on Benzinga. Salesforce was a beat, 256 on EPS versus 236. Their sales was a beat, 9.33 billion versus 923 billion. So pretty good look there for Salesforce. They did raise their cash flow guidance, and the guide was pretty solid. This is holding to the upside. But compared to the move that it had initially, unless you bought the absolute bottom, not a heck of a lot going there. So CRM, wanted to make sure we got those numbers to you for all that are tuning in. If you like what you see and you know you're ready here for NVIDIA, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm going to quickly go over a little bit of the sector watch here just before we get Chris on and before we have NVIDIA come through. I'm eyeballs on NVIDIA the whole way. I have a level 2 up of NVIDIA. I've got the charts up for NVIDIA, but it was down everywhere. Uranium down, KWeb down, ARC down, XME, SMH, SLV, TAN. Everything was pretty much red unless you love a little KRE, Berkshire. Berkshire with a good day. They seem to really like the fact that Berkshire dumped BAC because Berkshire held up really well today. You had a very across-the-board weak day in the overall market, and I think that's what leads me to a little trepidation when it comes to what could happen here with NVIDIA. You've got the Qs down 1 point going into this. The tidings for this market is going into this event. You've got lower highs on the Qs, a red day. We rolled over a couple of days in a row. We just lost the 50 period there on the Qs. The SPY are chilling out right at the top. Biggest name in the market reporting, and we're right at the highs for the market. And we just pulled back a bit. So there's a little trepidation. You saw the lack of bid today on a lot of things when the market would come down. That's the only reason why I'm thinking we could be heading southbound here overall for NVIDIA. Just going to check back on Affirm for everybody. I'd like to see this thing move. There you go. Now it's starting to go. There we go. That's what a squeeze is supposed to be. You beat top bottom and you're a 9% short flow. This is what you're supposed to do. If you're not going to go up on a beat when you're a squeeze name like this on Affirm, this is your time. This is your day. So finally Affirm now up 11%, pushing 12. It's starting to round itself off. It's above that 50 period moving average. So with about 7 minutes to go, we're going to jump on with Chris, our guest, and when NVIDIA comes out, we're cutting right to it. We'll be on the level 2, we'll be on the charts, we'll be on the numbers, because that's what everybody is here for. But before we get to that, we have our Trader Talk with Chris Brescher.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
Fine, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We got NVIDIA on tap. We had the SMCI debacle today, where the worst possible timing ever. I mean, can you imagine a day after you have a short seller report from Hindenburg, which most of the time the stock actually makes a bounce after a short seller report. That's what I've usually observed. The day after, they delayed their 10K, and not looking good for them. It was an absolute banger if you got the bottoms for some longs in the afternoon. But the shorts today, they ruled the day. Chris, how was your day?
Well, I want to show you that every Sunday I put out charts for our subscribers, and I don't put a ton of them, and this was one of them. So a short trigger would be a close under the previous 5 bars. So that's 610. So that's pretty cool. That was Sunday. So there were people that got short Monday on that when it broke. So that's pretty cool. I just wanted to show you that first. So a lot of things what we're watching that MACD, and we're watching that's overbought and things in a downtrend. So we're determining downtrend as the 50 moving average. So that's been working. So just to let you know. So whether it's SMCI, whether it's Microsoft, which on a daily chart is, was overbought in a downtrend. The key is that follow through day right there. So I hope you can see that chart. But the overbought in a downtrend. But now you're going to get something different, I think. And this is what I sent you on an email.
Yeah.
And the deal in here now is the NASDAQ. I call it the big kahuna. So I've been showing this since last week. So on the left is the ES, and this is the ES in relation to its 50 moving average. On the right is the NASDAQ in relation. Like you said, the ES is near its all-time high, while the NASDAQ's hardly a 50% retracement from the low from August. So the key for me, and the reason I call it the big kahuna, is if on the right the NASDAQ stays down enough, like let's say it gets down to here today, then I got to think it's a given that the ES goes to that 55.36 level. So that's why we were bearish this morning, as the NASDAQ was getting hit because the SMCI. So we're like, we got to short the ES. And that brings me to the second thing. So if Microsoft and SMCI were overbought in a downtrend, determined by the 50, on the other hand, now we got to pivot the other way. That if things are too far above their 50 and the NASDAQ stays down, we have to look for those stocks that are too far above the 50 and look for short triggers. So that's why, like today, we were looking for Home Depot, we're looking for JP Morgan, but we had to combine it with some kind of turn. So I'll show you a cool turn. Here's your JP Morgan. So we shorted right here, right in here. Then we had the Head and Shoulders top right here that measured to here, and that's where we exited. So that was a cool day to be able to have something like that. But the key was I could have all the theories in the world I want on JP Morgan, but until it had that cross, you just couldn't trade it to the downside. So you might be like, well, how do you know to short it there? We just use the ATR trailing stop. You know, I've talked about that a lot of times. And when you see a 1 minute chart of JP Morgan, there you go. Right here, believe it or not, that's where I posted the entry. We bought the 225 puts for next week. And then once we saw that, we knew we were going to be right. So that's why we went for the objective into here. So it worked. It was really exciting that worked. But
great looking trade there. Great looking trade there. And I think it's important that you find those like targets. I just want to prize everybody, just I know there's a lot going on. NVIDIA is only in a couple minutes. We have a lot of people popping into the chat. We appreciate all of you. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're new to the channel. We are going to I have a live level 2 up. I've got the charts of NVIDIA. They should be dropping in a couple of minutes. And I understand that's going to be very important to everybody. But we have a chance to get Chris's ear here. And that's a great look on it, JPM, because you've got to find trades somewhere. And a lot of times when the market's bleeding, people are looking for opportunities like what you're showing in JPM.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing, though. I was on the floor on the CBOE for 8 years in the IBM pit. So I never, ever bet on earnings, ever. And I made money 95 out of 96 months. The last month I was on the floor, my dad was diagnosed with something bad. That was the only time I lost money, 1 month. And the moral of the story, I never played earnings. So I always reacted after earnings. There are more people that want to take shots in the NVIDIA on earnings, and I just don't think that's the way to do it. I mean, you might be right. Maybe it does nothing.
Yep.
I'll play it after. I mean, like tonight, like you're doing an AFRM, you called that great. But you didn't play it, like betting until afterwards, and you had more than enough chance. In fact, let's just take AFRM. It's a perfect example. You just called it as it was happening.
Yeah, it means a squeeze name.
That's pressure.
Yeah, that's a squeeze name in there. So, I mean, when you beat top and bottom, I'm expecting a squeeze, and it wasn't really moving all that much. And again, I'm not putting that trade on. I'll probably trade it tomorrow, no questions asked about that. But, trading in the aftermarket, it's just different risk to reward. So we have less than 1 minute to go till NVIDIA comes on. Can we keep you live? And then we're going to go over this in real time. Obviously, I see NVIDIA 2000 in there. A lot of people are putting in their bets, and I think some people are just having fun, which is perfectly fine. Just throw a number where you think the stock could get to, but you're starting to ramp up a little bit in terms of volatility. Like we're already at 128, and we're running to the upside. You can see NVIDIA is starting to go. Numbers are not out yet. I have not seen anything on NVIDIA as far as numbers, but it is starting to absolutely pit up. Here we go. NVIDIA does announce their fourth quarter. So $30 billion in revenue. $30 billion in revenue. The street was expecting 28.2. That's 15% increase from Q1. Record data center at 26 billion. So that's a big beat there. The EPS, GAAP earnings, 0.67. That's a small beat on the EPS. Was expecting 6.5 there, still looking to see where the estimates are going to be when it comes to the guide. Not seeing any guide just yet, but they beat on the rev. They did not beat with a slight beat on the EPS, and now you're trading to the downside. You can see some actual acceleration in the tape in both directions. I mean, this just went down to 122, 128 to 122. That's an inside move. We're expecting 12% here. I saw 9.9 some places. I saw 12% in a lot of other places. So far, we got an inside move, but the tape is looking relatively heavy. There is some buyers buying in here at 125 even. I don't know if you guys can see that. You're getting some chunk buyers at the 125, which is starting to hold it up. So good luck to everyone that's sitting on that bid. It was a beat on that revenue. I like that revenue number, but we're not necessarily impressing it with the move in here today. I'd be surprised if we stuck in this range forever, Chris.
I think it's going to rally for a really sort of stupid reason on my part. So the NASDAQ is under that 50 moving average. The only way it's going to get back over that 50 moving average is if NVIDIA goes up and it pulls up all the chips. So I wouldn't be surprised to see NVIDIA rally pulling up the NASDAQ tomorrow, but see the ES lag. So you get the money back in the chips, and they suck out the life out of, taking that money like it's monopoly money and sucking the life out of the leaders like the JP Morgan, the Home Depot. I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
That could easily happen.
I'd be surprised to see NVIDIA pull the whole chips up, the SMH up.
I'm still, Chris, just not to interrupt, Chris, I have to quickly get, we have the board of directors that has approved an additional $50 billion in share repurchase authorization without an expiration. There was a little bit of a bump. I saw some buyers that were stacking at 125. They moved to 26 on that. I still have not seen anything in terms of a forward look overall, but the gross margin, 74%. 74% margins. And now we're seeing Q3 revenue, 32.5 billion versus 31.77. So the guide is higher, but the market is not doing anything with this. So it was a beat on the revenue. It was a small EPS beat. We've got a good guide. We're talking 50 billion in buyback, and we're not exactly flying to the upside. As a matter of fact, we just lost that 125 bid that was just sitting there a couple of minutes ago that was actually walking it up when we got that buyback number. So as usual, you get a bunch of whipsaw action. We got an inside move here. You're not going to drag the rest of the chip names up if the reaction to a good quarter from Nvidia is this, Chris.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, it's not like I want to buy the NASDAQ. I'm talking about shorting everything else. So just even if the Nvidia rallied, playing everything else to the downside.
Oh my goodness, they just ate about 100,000 shares at 122. And when I say they, I was there very briefly. It was stacked up. You're seeing buyers. You got probably about 50, 60,000 at 121 that was sitting on the bid. And they're about to, 120.80 just got chewed up. I mean, you're seeing them get chunked in. It's probably about 800,000 shares from what I could visually tell as I could read it. And then 120 is going to come in here pretty soon. What is that? That's 80, 90,000, 60. So that's about 200 change on the bid at 120. You're starting to really head to the downside. I mean, you're going to pull a lot of things down with it, but they're really starting to punish them here. Nvidia CEO says Hopper demand is strong and the anticipation for Blackwell is incredible. They're saying all the right things. They did have a beat. The guide was good. They gave you the buyback. We're selling off anyways. Risk to the downside of Nvidia. Now it's tagging 117. I think I was looking for downside. I'm not going to say I wasn't, but I threw out the number 116.42 for some fun because I like the number 42 and I just wanted something with a 6 in it. But now we're headed down into those lows, 117. I do want to double check to see, as you said, going to drag some things here with it. AMD down 5 points, Chris. The Qs.
Well, we're short
2% down.
The SPX coming in. So we're short the SPX. We're short the Japan market. And we're long Occidental Petroleum, and we don't have anything else. So we got out. We scalped a ton today. And I'll tell you right now, the one thing I will tell you about NVIDIA, like I said, we'll see. I'm not betting on NVIDIA overnight.
We're still falling.
On the ES going to where the NASDAQ is. So if the NASDAQ stays under the 50 like it looks, I think you see the ES down to that another 50 points.
Yeah, and speaking of down, 115 just got tagged. There's chunk buyers at every single even dollar level. I can tell you they're getting eaten up like a hot knife through butter, but there was just a bounce off the 115 level. So it's starting to look a little bit better. I haven't seen anything else hit the wire. Chris, I can't thank you enough for your perspective there, and kudos to you for being short going into this. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, we day trade. So we were short most of the day. I think a lot of people after SMCI certainly were trading to the south side here as Nvidia catches a bit of a bid. But I want to thank you. We're going to recap some of these numbers and focus on Nvidia. But I want to thank you so much for coming on, Chris. And best of luck with your trading going forward. Are there any final thoughts or any ideas you want to leave our viewers with? We got a lot of people watching and a great opportunity here.
I'm telling you right now, with that big a buyback, keep in mind the stock was 92 in early August.
Yes.
So basically, this all a 50% retracement from the entire move back to 130. So usually after the opening, it goes up because of the big buyback. So when I'm talking about being short the S&P, we covered probably 90% of what we were short. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Nvidia outperform the ES. That's what I think.
There you go. Thank you very much, Chris Brecher from Simpler Trading. We'll see you next week. Best of luck on all of your trades. It's going to be a wild one out there.
All right. Thanks. Good luck for everyone there, too.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris. And that's...
Pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
It's kind of like the buy key. If you hit the like and subscribe, NVIDIA tries to go up. It really is. NVIDIA is now screaming to the upside. They saw that bid. They chewed through 120. They chewed through 117. They couldn't get through 115. Now we're right back at $123 and stacked They're stacking it on the bid every chance they get. I mean, the algos are having an absolute field day with this. I mean, the data center revenue, we're going to get some additional numbers in here. The data center revenue was up 16% Q1, up 154% year over year, 26 billion in data center revenue, up 154% year over year. This is the reason everyone loves this damn stock, because the growth is fantastic. Now on the daily, hey, you didn't even lose the 50. We didn't even lose the 50-period moving average, man. We're right back above it on the daily, up about the 125. I mean, 120 is where it sits. If we hold on to the range after that dump, like I said, the market was heavy. You had SMCI, which scared the living crap out of a lot of people. And now you got a situation where you did have a strong quarter from Nvidia, and what it needs to do is hold on to some of that prior support. If there's one thing that I learned, and we learned a lot from our guests, and we've had some great ones, is if you ever see a huge liquidity grab V-shaped bottom, when you walk in the next day, if you support the prior low and it's like this never happened, just assume your support is still there. Ignore that. It's just a bunch of people getting rinsed. If we hold on to this prior 123 level, I think things are going to look pretty good tomorrow. We're under it right now. That is going to be a little bit of trouble for us here. And you're finding the bids start to come back down. The offers are... It's never been a lot of size on the offer. They're just smoke in the bids. This is not people walking it down on the offer and throwing those prices in. You're seeing people stack up on the bid at even dollar levels, and it goes through, and they're smacking them to head it to the downside. But they just come right back. They just supported the 120 one more time here on Nvidia. So just a quick recap. Everybody, the numbers were really good for Nvidia. The 50 billion share repurchase program, again, without expiration, they beat on the top line and the bottom line. You had 30 billion in sales versus 28.7 estimates. You had 68 cents per share versus 64, 65, depending on what analysts you want to look at. Doesn't really matter there. You're going to see the Q3 revenue, 32.5 billion versus 31.77, and gross margins of 74%. There's nothing about the report that you can look at that to me looks bad right now. That said, there's no such thing as a good or bad earnings. There's just a bunch of numbers that get thrown out, some analysts that have given you something to reference with, and then what the stock decides to do afterwards. So remember, when you are trading, the price is never wrong. Ball don't lie, price don't lie. Everyone can like the stock all you want, but if we can't hang on to some of these bids, someone just threw another 100,000 at 120, let's see if they get filled. If you can't hang on to these bids, we're at an important consolidation point for Nvidia. It's doing its best to hold up, but the overall reaction has been a little bit negative for the name. I don't want to call it disaster, down 6%. We were expecting a much bigger move than that. Depending on where you saw it in the options market, I saw 9.9. I saw as high as 11. That was fluctuating with a lot of volume obviously going through. You're going to get less than that. And a lot of times when you have a move that is less than the expectation, the levels that hold up can end up being very informative ones tomorrow. You know we're going to be right here at Real Trading and Trader TV Live to trade it. Myself, Sean, the entire team every single day for you. It's going to be an absolute wild one. One more time, I want to thank everybody in the chat. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. There's nothing to say except, wow, Nvidia, the volume is absolutely tremendous here. The move, somewhat subdued, but I'm glad it was an abject disaster. Because my first thought was if they went down, it was going to go down big. It's gone down. I don't know that you can call this big. 6 points when the stock has been up so much and minted so many millionaires is not the end of the world. I know a lot of people are going to be upset that the stock is going down. We were at 93 and everyone thought the sky was falling on that Black Monday or whatever the heck you want to call it. So Nvidia, let's see what it can do there. Thank you, everybody. I want to get a little roll call action while we're in here because while we have so many viewers in here, we got to drop it for you. So if you've never been here before, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. It's a subs only chat. Like if you want to get in here and get your shout out during roll call, then you got to be a subscriber. All you got to do is send any kind of a message. I'll see your name. We'll rip it off here. I mean, I could rip off Nvidia going down through 120. Hold the bid, man. Come on. They keep putting 100,000 and they can't seem to hold it. Shout out to Diaz29. Shout out to Adrian. Yeah, everyone's smashing it. Shout out to my man Sean Continu who's chilling here in the pink although it looks a little more like salmon shirt over there, watching Nvidia fly around there. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in all of YouTube. Thank you for what you do. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett, Jeremy Newman, Nano Gold, Monty G, Adrian Dotman, Mark, Easy Trader. We got J Lo, we got Apple Fritter, Neo Rob, Javier Diaz, Travel Buddy, Pitchbull, Benjamin Studley. Love the name. Miami Dragon, Alt Styles, Bristol, Wilk 215. We got Benson, Annette Tang. We got JCB in the chat. Now it's starting to move way too fast for me on it. Connie Linaldi, we got Scott Angel, Anthony K, Silverado Blue, JR, Franz, 509, Blackjack, Brian Brown, Finch Jane, Milky Fade, Benjamin Studley, Eli 7721, Chris Shroom, what up? Doctor Strange, little Marvel action, do something. Use some magic, Doctor Strange, and bring Disney stock up. How about you do that, Doctor Strange? Put some work in, call the Avengers, and buy some Disney. I own Disney shares. Scott Tomlinson up in there. We got Diaz. We got Holly. We got Mr. Westermeyer, Rivian Millionaire, Steve Romero, Steph B. Oh, there's so many of you guys. We love you all. KK, Ed George. I can't get them all. They're flying so fast in here. And before we get out, I got to make sure we look at what's going on back with Nvidia. And what I love about a stock like Nvidia, there's always buyers. Always buyers. When I tell you that they're chewing through these levels and they just come right back, the algos are having a field day with this. They just held 118. They just stepped up to 120. There's now a host of buyers at 121 that'll probably get chewed through. I mean, they're filling pretty much everybody. But Nvidia down 5% on top and bottom line beats, on a 50 billion share buyback, on a strong guide, pretty much everything you could have asked for. But the SPY was at the highs. The NASDAQ was pulling back. SMCI scared everybody, and all of a sudden, Nvidia decides it wants to react to the downside. That's what we're here for. Not to talk about it an hour from now and say, well, Nvidia went down because blah, 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 blah. No, we're here to bring you live price action where the buyers and where the sellers were. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and most importantly, come back tomorrow morning, because this is just the beginning. This is just the earnings reaction. It's the post-market trade. Tomorrow, we trade it for real after earnings when the big money starts to come in or out of Nvidia. And we'll be here for you with Trader TV Live from start to finish. Pre-market 8:30 in the morning, we'll be on the desk and we'll be looking at Nvidia right away, all the way till 4:30 in the aftermarket. Firm did a squeeze, great. CrowdStrike, nothing burger. CRM, nothing burger. But Nvidia, 5% down on a fantastic quarter. I want to thank everybody in here. I want to thank Sean, Dara, the entire team. Big shout out to Fabian and Ramin. Fabian sticking around late. Big shout out to Chris Bretcher, our guest. There he is. There's Fabian making us look and sound good. And a big shout out to you, our viewers, that make everything here possible and a heck of a lot more fun. We'll see you at 8:30 in the morning to trade Nvidia, to trade SMCI, and everything else that moves at Trader TV Live. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and come back tomorrow morning. We'll be ready for you.